Want to see a guillotine in Piccadilly? No! Want to call that raggedy arse Napoleon your king? No! Want your children to sing the Marseillaise? No! Come on, Mr.
Do you not know that in the service, I must always choose the lesser of two evils?
Hello. April 1805. Napoleon is master of Europe. Only the British fleet stands before him. Oceans are now battlefields. Quick's the word and sharp is the action. Welcome back to Clear and Present Dudes, the podcast that does not have time for your damned hobbies, sir. I am Mike Dunbar and I'm joined by Rory James O'Toole and Sanya Bjorkson.
Hello.
And tonight we are running like smoke in oakum towards the great franchise that never was, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Lovely made with extreme attention to detail by Peter Weir, starring Russell Crowe, Paul Bettany, and a superb cast of that guys that we're going to cover in great detail as we go ahead. It's one of my favourite films. It's one of my dad's favourite films. It's one of Sanye's favourite films. So let me ask you, Sanye, why are we here talking about Master and Commander?
Well, we've brought up the genre of chase films among thrillers before, and this is definitely one of the chase films of all time. It has politics, it has spies mentioned, it has intrigue, it has mostly guy stuff, to be honest. It is definitely one of the guy films of all time. I just enjoy it very much.
Rory James O'Toole, what is your history with Master and Commander? You must have seen this one before. It's a guy film.
Yeah, the first time I watched this film was actually when Sanya was over here a few years ago, and he was like, we're going to watch Master and Commander, and I'm like, I've heard nothing but good things about this film, and holy shit, boys, this film is so good. This film is incredible stuff. The competency porn throughout it is amazing, just seeing people being incredibly good at their jobs as British sailors. It's absolutely class. The suspense, the action, the writing, it is so cool. It's immersive. It's an immersive feeling. The fact that it's a cast of that guys mainly, rather than like a ton of big stars, makes you feel really in among the action. Like, suspension of disbelief is very, very easy when, like, you have to IMDb deep dive to remind yourself what a lot of the supporting cast have actually done. You know? Brilliant stuff. Someone gets iced with a knock gun, which is very, very exciting for me. And, there is a heady mix of drama, violence, thrills and spills. And as Sanya says, it's an excellent chase film. A kind of thriller that we're not, unused to doing, because, of course, we did Unstoppable, which is one of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest kind of chase films of all time. So it's well within our wheelhouse. And of course, Sanya's wanted to do this film since day one of the pod. This was Sanya's first pick a year ago, and it took us this long.
We were initially reticent because we didn't really think it counted. But we've opened the doors wide open now. Now that we've adjusted that, because Stephen Maturin is a spy in the books, and the word spy is uttered once in this film, we've decided it counts.
Technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
Yeah.
Which, and you know what that means, though? That means the entire gamut of Sharp films is now open for it as well, because of Major Hogan and all the spies that he deals with there as well. Now this is a 70s to noughties thriller movie podcast and Napoleonic film podcast. And why not? Fantastic.
Nothing's more dad-coded than thrillers and Napoleonic military histories. So,
indeed.
And this is a dad as fuck podcast.
Everybody listening at home, you're listening to Clear and Present Dudes, the filler movie podcast. Please, if you are listening to this, remember to like, subscribe if you want. That includes Spotify, where it might have just appeared on your feed and it might just appear there on your homepage all the time, but you haven't pressed the follow button. Do you hit the follow button? It really helps out the algo. Same thing for the old YouTubes. You may have trained your computer to give it to you anyway, but just hit the button anyway. It helps us out big time. And with that, I'll also say that this is a spoiler podcast. So if you have not seen 2003's Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World, pause, go and watch it and come back, because it's an incredible film, and I'd hate to think that all of our hot takes are going to ruin what is an incredible film for you. So with that, let's crack on.
7 weeks sailing, and he happened on our exact position.
Well, then perhaps he was looking for us.
Damn, he was good.
An act of war will cripple them.
With basic repairs, we can get home as we are.
We're not going home.
The power of nature will threaten them.
Our enemy has more than twice our guns, more than twice our numbers, and we are supposed to stop it.
Torn between fulfilling his duty.
Captain's not called Lucky Jack for no reason. Phantom or no, Lucky Jack will have it.
And the lives of the men he commands.
Steady!
He must face the invincible.
Fight like you, Jack. A hunter becomes the hunted.
Well then, There's not a moment to lose.
Cool. Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World is a 2003 American epic period war drama film, co-written, produced and directed by Peter Weir, set during the Napoleonic Wars. The film's plot and characters are loosely adapted from the novels of Patrick O'Brian in his Aubrey Maturin series, which includes 20 completed novels about Captain Jack Aubrey and his naval career. He is loosely based on Lord Cochrane, Earl of Dundonald, and also the same guy was the same inspiration for Hornblower. So just a fun Jack Aubrey fact. The film stars Russell Crowe as Aubrey, captain in the Royal Navy, post-captain, I should say. Paul Bettany as Dr Stephen Maturin and the ship's surgeon. This is the second on-screen collaboration for Crowe and Bettany, who had previously co-starred in 2001's A Beautiful Mind.
Wow, that's right.
The film is a personal project of 20th Century Fox executive Tom Rothman, who recruited Weir to direct. So basically, one well-meaning dad really wanted to make this movie. Filming took place on the open sea, on replica ships, and in water tanks in Baja Studios, and in the Galapagos Islands, actually on location, which is incredible. Incredible film. Absolutely love it. Guys, any final words before we get into the plot?
This is one of the films that's like the easiest film to download as your entire personality.
It's basically what happened to me, mate. Yeah, it's pretty much what happens. Like 12 years in as a Royal Navy officer now, and I watch this film all the time. And it's one of those films where like you see stuff in it and get something new out of it every time. It shares a place with The Cruel Sea for that. Films that are like set in a Royal Navy of the days of yore almost. Like Cruel Sea is obviously like 70, 80 years ago now. And this is like 220 years ago. And there's stuff in it that still goes on today. And it's wild. There's some, really rewarding on a rewatch. And if you're a big like naval history nerd, I imagine you get the same sort of vibe from it as well.
Sanya, is that correct?
Well, as both someone who ended up on the same career path and someone who's both a giant history nerd and a naval history nerd, yes.
Yeah.
I also have a deeply personal connection to this film because the first time I ever watched this film was on my then still living grandmother's television. We didn't have our own, and I had to literally cycle through a thunderstorm to go and watch it. So the first time watching this film as a wee lad, already a story of personal hardship, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Very
amazing,
evocative.
man. That is evocative. Through hardship, we're reborn, man. That's amazing, dude.
Amazing. Okay, so we'll get into it. The film starts with a beautiful shot of the open ocean and this incredible ship, HMS Surprise. And she's introduced with the number of her guns and the size of her complement on screen. And then we see the shimmering sea, her sailing along. April 1805, Napoleon is the master of Europe. Only the British fleet stands before him. Oceans are now battlefields. And we get to see Captain Jack Aubrey's orders on the screen. He is to, burn, sink, take as a prize the Acheron, a French private, which is stalking around the South Atlantic, around South America.
When I rewatched this film just earlier today, I literally shouted out, "Sink, burn, or take a prize!" And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's like, say the line, Bart. Say the line, Admiralty.
Yeah.
Sink, burn, or take a prize.
I think of this at least once a day.
Based.
Whenever something pisses me off, I am sink, burn, or take her a prize.
So in the opening scene we get the sound of 8 bells, which to me, so in the Navy we have a bell system for how the watches progress. 8 bells is the end of a watch, i.e. the start of the new watch, and judging through context clues, i.e. it's dark outside, and within the same watch as the stuff happens it gets light. I'm going to assume this is the morning watch, so 0400 in the morning, ding 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 ding. Each bell is half an hour, so the next bell would be 1 bell, 4:30, and so on. We see the watch changeover, guys climbing down the rigging, more guys climbing up the rigging, very cool stuff. Then we cut forward, judging by the bells we soon hear, about 3 hours. And it is midway through the morning watch. Midshipman Holland has the watch, and he hears from a starboard lookout that there's bells heard off the starboard shoulder of the ship. He questions whether it's a local fisherman. The lookout says it's a potential reef marker, so navigation aid in the local area because of shallow water. As that's said, they take a sounding from over the side using an old sounding equipment. So they measure basically like how far down the line it is to determine how deep it is, and they take a soil sample from like the seabed, pull it back up again, and get it. So they say it's 5 fathoms and it's sand and broken shell. This is all kind of stuff that still kind of goes on, except we have echo sounders now to do the actual depth piece. But yeah, I've done that. And what happens? We're into a fog bank, and Holland sees briefly a dark shape in the fog bank, and in a moment's hesitation, doesn't quite know what he's seen. He gets a second opinion from another young midshipman, Mr. Callamy. Mr. Callamy reminds him that he's the officer of the watch, and he must make a decision about what to do. And the question here is, will he beat to quarters, which is basically call a quick draw. There's a threat detected to the ship. I need to get everyone closed up in their proper places. Because of the amount of stuff they do on the ship here, so what happens is they do call beat to quarters out of precaution, which is the right thing to do. Never be wrong for calling a quick draw. You see like all the rush of activity on the ship, and it's brilliant. You see like the doctor getting closed up in the surgery, and they're like putting sawdust on the deck, and they're removing doors and stuff, and all the gun crews are getting closed up, and everyone's running around, and the sharpshooters are going aloft, all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool sequence. And it just shows you like how the entire ship comes alive. And it's more akin to like full action stations for a ship today than it is like just a quick draw. But it's the same reactions, I suppose. Captain comes up, has a look. Captain Jack Aubrey, the steady hand of great leadership. And he asks what they saw. And Holland's like, I think I saw a shape. And he asks Mr. Callamy if Mr. Callamy saw it. And Mr. Callamy says he didn't see it. And he says, well, you did the right thing, and starts to head below. But then Captain Aubrey spots a flash of gunfire from over to starboard. Orders the entire deck, get down on the deck, down on the deck. And then an explosive battle sequence starts within the first like 2 minutes. It's incredible.
It's amazing. It's so good, man. It's so good.
So the Acheron basically appears, sprays the Surprise, suddenly with cannon fire. The Surprise is hit repeatedly, causing severe damage and massive casualties. There's splinters flying everywhere. Just for people listening back home who maybe don't know this, but the majority of injuries that took place in the age of sail through naval battles like this were actually not sustained through like cannonballs hitting you or explosions from grenades or getting shot by muskets, but actually the splintering would puncture people, hit arteries, get people the organs. People would die of like impact, but also like infection later, all that kind of stuff. So pretty dangerous. Everyone's on the deck getting hit by like bits of splinter, and we see that in the film as it goes on. They also hit the hull pretty badly of the ship, so there's significant flooding below the low water line. And you see the pumping efforts to try and get that out, and the damage control efforts. You hear like one of the I think it's the carpenter's mate saying that they need to get oakum to plug the hole. So like first stage leak stopping, again, stuff that still happens today. Not with oakum though. But yeah, really, really cool. And then we see like the very bloody work that's going on in the surgeon's compartment as well, between the surgeon and the loblolly boy, Padine, the big giant guy. So yeah, pretty epic. You see like the internal and the external battle. As this is happening, Acheron is completely overpowered. Surprise is not ready for this fight, even though the crew are relatively switched on, but she's been outmaneuvered and outgunned by Acheron. And as they later state, the Acheron had the weather gauge, but luckily for Surprise, she has weather gods, and even though she's had her rudder shot out and is unable to answer the helm, they get the boats away, and they make as best possible with the lads on board, rowing their whalers to drag the ship into a fog bank in order to be concealed from the Acheron, which after a lot of hours they eventually do. Pretty epic starting scene for the movie. Like, guys, what do you make of it?
Yes.
Splendid. Yes, amazing scene, absolutely great. Really sets up the film as something where the heroes don't have any sort of advantage. So you sort of immediately get this feeling of this isn't something that can actually reasonably be expected to win. Even though that ship is commanded by Lucky Jack, you get that sort of underdog setup. And even though that was something that was culturally ingrained very much into Royal Navy captains of the time, that they were supposed to have the ability and the confidence to take on bigger and stronger ships than they were commanding, you get a very grim sense of that reality and how dangerous that actually was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
big sign.
that's right, man. You see all this like competence at the start of it, and you see like like you said, like the beta quarters, which is like their equivalent of like current days like quick draws, you've told us. And you see even like earlier, like you see like the establishing shots of the cannon with all like the different cool names painted on them, like Jumping Billy and Quick Death and stuff. And the film manages your expectations that this is an incredibly switched on crew with a really good captain, and they just get chinned by the Acheron. Like they get dog walked by him, and it's like it underlines the seriousness of the affair, and it sets you up for what's obviously going to be like eventually like a real kind of successful vengeance quest kind of thing against this monster that came out of the fog bank, you know?
Yeah, I tell you what I like about it is, it's the kind of movie that you wouldn't get made about a modern day surface ship engagement anymore, because sensors have got to the point now where you detect each other at too great a range for this kind of stuff to happen. The modern day equivalent to this now is submarine against submarine combat. So it was like two hunter killers fighting each other. It would be like Crimson Tide kind of stuff, or Hunt for October kind of stuff, rather than surface ship engagement. I also really like what you said, Tanya, and I think there's one pivotal scene where they kind of get into this, which is in the aftermath of the battle, you're having like all the initial reports coming in. I like actually that they go straight into, as soon as the gunfire starts, you hear Lieutenant Pullings yell out to Holland, "A damage assessment when you're ready, as you please." Which I thought was quite good.
Please, I like that. Yeah,
I like
that's
that,
class.
It's like, if you don't fucking mind.
Just at some point when you're ready.
Yeah, very different. Nowadays, it's like my BDR priorities will be 1, like of HMS Surprise as a life-sustaining platform, 2, accounting for workforce, like 3, damage assessment. Yeah, but there's the scene where they're all in the wardroom, and it's the scene. They're having like what is now called like a command planning group. So you get like the command team of the ship, which comprises of obviously the captain, the lieutenants. You've got the sailing master there, so like a senior warrant officer, and Maturin there as the ship's dock. They're all in the wardroom, around the wardroom table, going over what's happened. And it's not in a CPG format, but they are just like talking like, like, she outgunned us and her hull must have been 12 inches thick because our cannonballs bounced right off them and all that kind of stuff. And they're just kind of addressing it. But that's where they kind of, you highlight like, because the film didn't show us the Acheron very clearly, because you don't show Jaws in the first 2 minutes. You don't show the xenomorph straight away. Like it kept it hidden, like as a phantom.
Can you imagine if they did though? If like the like xenomorph was like one of the first things you saw in Aliens, and like it just like does like a freeze frame, and like in the James Gunn Suicide Squad, like some facts about it appear.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like
Yep, that's me. Like, you're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Oh, it's like the start of like The Devil Wears Prada, where you see like the xenomorph getting up and brushing its teeth and getting a coffee and walking to work.
It's actually just gotten a new job at this film. It's about eating people. Everyone before the xenomorph got fired immediately, but
yes, that's me. I'm a xenomorph. It's my job to impregnate the stomachs of viable hosts.
And this is my first day in New York City, and I'm late for the subway.
And if you think I'm a monster, you should see my boss.
What I also really love is that this first scene just sets this film up as absolutely rich on detail and on realism. You immediately get this sense that this is a small ship. It's cramped. It's probably damp. It smells. You see the shot of the crew sleeping in hammocks. I don't know if any of the listeners ever had the pleasure of spending 2 months in a hammock. I cannot recommend it. And even down to the bureaucratic detail, while the ship is already taking fire, Aubrey goes to I'm assuming one of the most junior midshipmen to please enter into the ship's log, engaged enemy frigate at 8 bells, because that's the most important thing to him as the captain in the moment, the minute detail of having this clear for the aft direction report.
It's nice that this accountability culture has existed for hundreds of years.
Yes. How do you think HMS Surprise would have performed at Fost?
If they maintain a log in the middle of an engagement, pretty well, I think. Actually, it's possible to do everything right and still not win. There's Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love all that detail, and again, it sets the stall out very, very early on, because you don't have to reasonably expect that the average cinema goer is going to know that this is period accurate. And I think if you'd lost a lot of that detail, maybe they might not have noticed that, but I think you would have lost something in the feeling of the film. Whereas this film kind of makes you feel like, yeah, you are transported through the world because it's so rich, it's so much detail. You know, I think it's
it reassures you of its accuracy, even if you're not like knowledgeable about the period, just because the way it's delivered and just the granular detail. It's like it sells it. It really sells the fact that with confidence, it sells and tells you that this is very accurate just in the way it's delivered. The film has an absolute air of charisma about it.
Yeah, it does it again and again as well. Like it does this throughout the whole film.
There is so much stuff going on in there that you don't even if you know about naval history, you don't notice it until you watched the behind the scenes. Like what I found out after I watched this the third or fourth time is that they actually made period accurate rope for this film by the miles, because it was stood the other way around in production.
The lay of the fiber cordage is like right to left in like modern day, and it's left to right in those days. So they
absolute insane amount of care into this. And even if you have stuff like shots where Aubrey is watching through his telescope, you can see that the lens is uneven and stuff. The sort of historical things that you wouldn't have today. It's absolutely class, and most people wouldn't even think about that.
That's incredible. You're absolutely right about that. And when you think about how many times you see shots in modern movies where people looking through an image enhancer or a set of binoculars or a telescope, and they look wrong for the current day when they are when they could just get something that's on the market now and shoot through it. It's really, really great detail. So better keep going, otherwise we're never going to get through it. After inspecting the damage, Aubrey decides to refit the ship as best they can at sea. Oh, I'm going to stop again straight away. This is one of my favourite conversations. Is like, so the sailing master quite rightfully is saying, well, we've got enough. I don't really trust the mast. We should be able to limp back to a friendly port in order to make necessary repairs before we proceed back to Portsmouth for a full refit. And then Aubrey, because he's the captain of a ship and can do this, just has what I like to call a corgi, commanding officer's really good idea, and goes, we'll refit at sea. Like that's not really refitting if you're still at sea. So refitting is like the overhaul and mass repair and just swapping out of stuff of a warship. And ordinarily, like this ship would go into a port, might go into dry dock to get significant work done on the hull, and they would do stuff like careen the hull. You'd have like a big list of jobs that you want to get done in a refit period, and then the ship would be crawling all over with various tradesmen and master tradesmen in their various parts. So you got a carpenter on board, but he'd be backed up by a bunch of other carpenters from shore who'd come on and like do loads and loads of extra work and stuff. Not 100% knowledgeable about this stuff in the time, but like you'd have, because a lot of the skills are also retained on board. So like things like new sails getting made by the sail makers who are trained on board, because everyone on board has got some experience maintaining and then making sails, because that's just what being a sailor was like in those days. Nowadays, ship goes into refit and you are crawling all over with like various contractors from like all the different companies that make all the different bits of your ship. And the ship's company do very little of the work in a refit, on basically doing administrative tasks based out of offices ashore now, while like the man from Man fixes the minimum governor for your engine, and like, you know, the guy from Thales comes and works on your sonar and all that kind of stuff.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, so to say we're going to refit at sea, and he just points at the chart and goes, there's a shoal patch here. It's like, all right, so we're going to go to anchor, and we're just gonna use the nothing we've got on board to try and fix the ship as best we can. They will have timber and stuff on board to do repair work with, and they'll have loads of like rope, and they'll have sails and stuff all stowed away that they'll be getting out. But it's not the same as like, it's not really refitting. And then the other suggestion they have is they go to the Brazilian rainforest and steal a tree and do that. But again, the timber for like for masts, it isn't just because you cut the tree down and that's it, it's ready to go. You know, it takes time to like age the wood and have it to be a point where it's like, you know, dry and treated and ready to be used. But yeah, that made me laugh.
Yeah. So about the dry dock refit, a ship of the period would be replaced to about a fifth of its original hull every time it went into dry dock. Because wood obviously rots when it comes into contact with water. Another interesting thing about ship refit at the time. We are just a few decades post the American War of Independence, which had a significant impact on Royal Navy shipbuilding because a lot of timber, especially for masts, was sourced from the United States. Used to be that, which allowed for longer mast parts, and it's now or then predominantly from the Baltic, which led to shorter bits and masts being actually made from several different parts rather than one massive tree. Which would actually allow for the sort of self-repair they're doing. Actually, I've seen this recently in an oil painting, a ship setting its own new main mast using the other masts to pull out the old stump. So that is, in theory, probable. It still implies that you have the material on board to do it and the access to that, which isn't the case. And as you've said, just picking a random tree from the jungle isn't going to cut it. So mastwood is usually a lot softer than the one you use for the hull, so it does break or bend rather than just stay in one piece and flip over the ship if the wind gets too strong. And it requires 5 to 10 years of dry storage before it's actually usable, especially in a period where you don't have the industrial capacity to just dry wood like that.
Amazing. The other thing I imagine they probably struggle with is like the whole business of like hauling it up there, because they've obviously got like blocks and tackles and they can jerry rig stuff all day long, but they actually need to be able to like crane it up and move it hand over hand, and you'd obviously have to like build some kind of giant airframe or something like that to facilitate it.
It's one of the reasons the Royal Navy lost so many ships after the Battle of Trafalgar, because it was immediately followed by a bad storm, and a bunch of the English ships and a bunch of the prizes had obviously severely damaged rigging, and they weren't able to properly repair those.
Yeah. Still, though, 21-0. So the crew works to repair the ship, while Dr. Maturin works hard to save the lives of the casualties, including a young midshipman. This might be my MVP of the movie. Young midshipman Blakeney, whose arm he has to amputate, and an able seaman whom he gives surgery near his brains, is what this says. So he has the suppressed fracture of the skull. And there's that brilliant bit where he's got like one guy who looks dirty as fuck, like polishing a coin.
It's just
while Maturin has like cored out a section of skull that he's going to plate over with this coin, and like 20 or 30 matlers are all like stood over like the soft patch bit of open hull as they like stare down at him, and that one guy's like, "Doctor, is that his brains?" And he's like, "No, these are his brains." And everyone like looks a little bit closer, and then a bloke who I have to assume must be the buffer, like, because he's screaming his head off, like runs in and says, "What are you doing? What are you laughing about? Get back to work, you lot, blah, 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 blah." And then he probably like gulps in as well. Fantastic.
Yeah, he has his own little look. It's like they don't call it an operating theatre for nothing, do they?
Indeed. Yeah, fantastic. Meanwhile, Aubrey learns from a crewman who saw Acheron being built that it is bigger, heavier, and faster than Surprise, and the senior officers who now consider the ship to be out of their class. So this is when the carpenter's mate, Joseph Nagle, comes in with his best mate Will, and his best mate Will saw the ship being built in Boston, because it's American-made, and Nagle knocks up a model for him, so he shows him the model as well, and they get an extra tot of rum for their trouble.
Which I was saving for saluting day.
Drink wine.
I love this because the captain straight away is like, "We'll drink wine on saluting day." Like he's heard these drips from him like 1,000 times, and he's just like straight back with a response. "We'll drink wine on saluting day. Drink wine on saluting day, will we?" It's clever. I love the Killick. The Killick, who was he's played by David Threlfall, who was people may know as Frank Gallagher in the British Shameless.
Incredible acting pedigree. I'm going to dig into later on when we're doing the categories.
Phenomenal actor. He is tremendous in this, and I have worked with some senior rates who are extremely similar to Killick in this. Just like grumble, 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 answer back, answer back, answer back. And you're like, it's never enough to go over the line. So you can't be like, shut the fuck up. But you do like have to roll your eyes and be like, all right, fucking hell, okay, here we go again. Like, fuck it. Yeah.
I like how those two lads provided open source intelligence, though. It's like the OSINT bros, but in like the 18th century. It's like OSINT before Discord existed.
I love it because that Joseph Nagel he's obviously not a bad lad. He has a bit of a wobble later on, as we see. But those two guys obviously like care about what the ship's doing, and they're invested and bought into like what their mission is. Like, and that's partly because the Acheron presents an existential threat to the ship, right? But also they're good matlers. I like that. It's good. And it shows you the ingenuity of Jack. Cool, right. Yes, and then we see the senior officers obviously talking about how the Acheron presents too big a ship. She's too strong. You're outgunned, and she's too fast. Her hull's too thick. The bitch is too bad. They'll kill you. And
you smoke too hard.
But Aubrey notes that such a ship could tip the balance of power in Napoleon's favour if it were allowed to plunder the British whaling fleet at will. And Maturin drops the first of many faux pas here and says, like, compared, the Surprise is rather old. And then everyone looks at her like, you fucking what, mate? And he's like, am I not correct? And then you get like the captain like touching her because she's bluff, lovely lines, stiff seabird, fast, very fast in the right hands. No, she's not old. She's in her prime. Which is fantastic because, you know, like, it's still a thing today. A lot of ships in the fleet are pretty old now, but they're still pretty fucking good, you know? Not all of them, but
Spicy.
Some are better than others. But I feel the same way. I feel pretty protective if like people start like talking shit. You're just like, you know what? Actually, like, this is my home. So like, how about you fucking pipe down? And that is why I'm a fucking throbbing officer, not a lad. Brilliant. They resume the pursuit of the Acheron after stopping at a Brazilian port. This is worth mentioning because we see our only female person in the whole film here.
Yeah, and the whole job is for sailors to just like blow kisses and try and trap.
She like twirls her little like battered up parasol. And sits there like looking pretty, just to remind everyone that there are women there. Aubrey has like a glance that lasts a little bit too long, just to be sure that the audience knows at home. Look, he's not gay. There just aren't any women around.
He's not gay, but he is underway.
Writing a letter to whoever the hell Sophie is. But yeah. But he immediately gets yelled at indirectly, though. I love this scene. It's like, put that woman down, Styles! This is a ship of His Majesty's Navy, not a floating bordello! And it's just the second Jack looks at the woman.
Yeah, that's so funny. I love that stuff. I was telling my wife the other day, because we were talking about idioms in the English language, and obviously like a lot of idioms came from Shakespeare that we use today. A lot of idioms, a surprisingly large number of idioms, come from like gardening, which I wasn't really tracking, but actually my wife wrote an incredibly long list. And I said, like, well, there's also a similarly large amount of them come from Jack speak, which is to say, like, a lot of old naval sailing terms and slang and other bits and bobs. And the one that's relevant here is people talk about shake a leg, as in like to get up and get about, but it came from when sailors were in hammocks, they had to like stick their legs out to make sure that there wasn't a woman in the hammock with them, so they didn't have like they trapped a prostitute ashore, like in Pompey or Guz, and then like smuggled her on board and was trying to stow away them to sea, and so she could do her business there. So it was like, right, shake a leg, and then like thin him out because it's not a floating bordello, but yeah. Dirty laugh, and then cool. The Acheron surprises them yet again, however, as they sail from this Brazilian port, and they begin a day-long pursuit. And as Captain Jack notes, this is the second time he's done this, there will not be a third. And this is when they run like smoke and oakum to get away from the Acheron, because they know that if they were in another peer-to-peer engagement, they get schwacked again. So they are sailing as best as they can away. And this is when they come up with one of their great bits of Royal Naval guile, which is they make the decoy to get the Acheron off their trail, which I think is phenomenal. They basically knock together a raft and put some lance on it. And they stream it off the back end, so that, and then as they send young Mr. Calamy out as his quote-unquote first command to go on there, clamber up there, and light those lanterns on it. At the same time they light those lanterns, they snuff the lights out on the back end of the Surprise, and then they haul him back in hand over hand. We caught a fish. And then,
That's a great bit.
And then once he's back on board, they sever the line so that's dragging this raft away. And as soon as they've severed that line, they turn hard to port, do a 90-degree turn, bug out, so that the Acheron is now pursuing and still trying to land ranging shots on this raft. And then they've taken the bait and they sail away. And just to make sure that he does it properly, Captain Jack Aubrey very gratefully offers to take the watch, which is something you'd love to hear from your captain, but never, ever happens. I love that sequence. I love that kind of underhand guile is being represented in the film, because it's that's the kind of stuff that like wins battles and wins war, and it's something that the Navy's got like a long proud tradition of doing underhand skullduggery like that, and we'll see some more of it in the film as we go ahead. Cool. Have I missed any cool stuff that's happened so far?
I think you covered everything. I mean, I could go on a tangent here about how Acheron is basically a yassified USS Constitution.
Yep.
Yassified, fucking hell.
Well,
all the filters to maximum.
Yes, I mean, they made a French. I think that counts as yassified for a ship.
Weified.
But yeah, so the film's Acheron is heavily based on the USS Constitution of the US Navy of the same period, which is one of 6 of a class of frigates, which were the first ships the United States Navy ever built themselves for an actual proper navy. These are very heavy ships for frigates with I think a pair build complement of 44 guns, and then every captain just cramming additional ones on them because they're bloody well good. And they are built from, I think it's American red oak, which is a particularly hard wood, which actually led to that ascribed sequence earlier of lower caliber shots bouncing off the hull, which gave USS Constitution the nickname of Old Ironsides eventually. And those ships have become somewhat problematic during the later War of 1812. And there is actually somewhere, I don't remember the exact wording, but there is a Nelson quote regarding one of them actually as seeing them as a potential source of trouble for the Royal Navy in years to come, should there ever be war with the United States, because he immediately recognized how capable these vessels were.
Yeah.
And eventually, and this is in part because Royal Navy frigates tended a lot of the time to be stolen smaller French frigates, as the Surprise in this case actually is as well. Actually, English captains were, during the War of 1812, later banned from doing single ship engagement with these larger American frigates. So there is a lot of actually existing historical context that goes into these two ships and this whole film and the ongoing engagement between the two.
That's brilliant. Oh, thank you for that, Sonia. That's great.
Cool, man.
The only bit I have missed, I've just thought of one, which was during the pursuit of the Acheron, there's a short scene where the captain is helping the young midshipmen take a merpass or a meridian pass with their sextants, which is...
Bullets, look through your sextant.
Yeah. He twats, he gives like a proper clips him around the logo, like, look for your sextant. I love that. But he's explaining like what is happening is they're using their marine sextants to take an angle of they set the angle really, really high, and they're waiting for the sun in the horizon glass to actually get to the angle they've set, which is like the 90 degrees, and they hold it flat. So you have like the horizon on one glass, and you have like the zenith of where the sun's going to be on the other glass, and you're waiting for the sun to hit it when you take it. And basically you're watching for the sun to going up and reach its top, and it'll pause there for a second, then it'll start coming back down again straight away. And you're waiting for the sun to reach its highest angle of the day, and that's when you mark when the noon time is. And it's part of what you can do for when you're doing astronavigation to determine kind of where you are. So there's kind of two big things. You can take like star sights in morning and evening, twilight. And that's basically like the same way you would take a visual fix. You'd have multiple points of reference, and each toward one of these is like measured down to the second of when you took the observation, and you pull that together to make a big pool of errors of like overlapping circles, and bang, you're somewhere in the middle of it. With the merpass, you have to kind of, and that works basically by going like, you vaguely know where you are, you take like a bunch of observations, and they tell you how far away from where you think you are. That's how it works. It's really weird. So you have to kind of know where you are already to refine where you are. The same thing goes with the MIRPAS, except because you're only observing one thing, you only really get latitudinally where you are, because that's the only thing that changes around the world, is like what time of day noon is at. So by doing that, you get an idea where you are on one of those planes, and you can kind of figure out where you're going. It's a way of like checking along your journey, like roughly where you are. So that's what they're doing. It's been a long time since I've done astronavigation, so if I've got any of that wrong, gleefully wait for that in the comments. Got my ticket like 10 years ago, haven't really done it since. So yeah, way out of practice. But yeah, so that's what they're doing in that sequence. And what I like about it is that obviously, like, we're watching a thriller movie. They are in the middle of a hot chase. They've already been engaged once, and they're going to go and kill them again. But because this is the Royal Frigate Navy, we haven't stopped training our guys. We haven't stopped coaching. We haven't stopped mentoring. And we haven't stopped like trying to like, you know, better ourselves as sailors. Like, it hasn't like, oh, job's on, guys. We haven't got time for you midshipmen anymore. Real job's on. It's like, no, we're still going to do the day-to-day business of like navigating the ship and teaching you how to do it, because, you know, train your relief. You're not indispensable. Someone's going to replace you eventually, and you need to train them up. The Nelson touch, all that good jazz. So that's something else I really liked. Cool. As they approach Cape Horn, the Surprise is closely following the Acheron, but they lose sight of the Acheron as both ships are bringing sail to rising winds. This bit's pretty epic. So Cape Horn is on the bottom of South America, and they are chasing the Acheron. It's really, really stormy. It's a very dangerous part of the world. We still kind of shudder a little bit when we're going around the Horn, because it's like pretty horrible seas. And in this case, the mizzen topmast, breaks, falls into the sea, and up in that bit of rigging is Will Worley, who is the blonde sailor who was pals with Joseph Nagle, who saw the Acheron in build. So we've got established a friendship between Nagle and Will. What is happening now is that bit of mast and all its rigging still attached to the ship. It's dragging in the sea behind them, and they are still trying to catch and chase the Acheron, but also they're still trying to stay afloat. And what's happening is this big load of rigging is acting like, as they say in the film, acting like a sea anchor or a drogue, is dragging the ship back. It's putting a lot of extra pressure on the remaining bit of mast. It's also dragging the ship underwater and affecting its stability. So as they say, they need to cut it free, otherwise, you know, they're going to really, really struggle, especially as they're going through like heavy seas. What tends to happen if you aren't maintaining speed directionally, you'll become foul of the overwhelming conditions. Probably go beam onto sea and capsize, broach, and that's like the most dangerous thing that can happen. So they're really, really worried about that. And so Captain Aubrey, with Nagle, the guy's best friend, is there at the back end, chopping through these lines to set him free. And this is another really good example of times where this would be emergency stations in the modern Navy, probably equivalent, is where the ship is a life-sustaining platform, takes priority over the life of one sailor. And it's a pretty horrible choice, but they make it, and they do it. It's probably worth saying at this point in the film as well, that this film has actually got quite a bit of CG in it, but it doesn't look like it. This is some of the best CG work I think I've seen in any film ever, and it's made in 2003, and you can't tell, I don't think. They filmed a lot of it in the open ocean. They filmed a lot of it in tanks, though, and I can barely tell where there's a CG shot in this film. There's only like two I think I can identify. One where you get a really good shot of like Blakely's fake arm, or like the stump, which is in bandages, and there's a one of the backdrop on the Galapagos later on.
Yeah.
Where there's like a day for night shot. It looks a bit dodgy, but everything else all this stuff at sea looks amazing.
Yeah, I think half of the Acheron isn't actually real as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they've built a basically one-to-one hull and parts of the lower rigging, but everything above the mainsail I think is CG, which is absolutely amazing because you don't notice at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought of that unless you'd mentioned it. I think there's a bit where they've added a lot of smoke in towards the end, but apart from that, like, the film looks incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really well done. And this sequence for me is like probably the most impressive. Just like that big, huge boiling sea. It looks treacherous. The ship
looks horrifying. Yeah, it's they do an incredibly good job of making the sea one of the villains of the piece in a way. You know.
Yeah, but that's it. You know, the heroes of the men, the heroines of the ships. And there's only one enemy, the sea. The cruel sea, which man is only made more cruel. Yeah.
Bars.
And those dastardly French.
Yeah, and the French, yeah. Different novel, different ships. Cool. So, also, like, probably one of the emotional peaks of the film, I guess. And the score here is incredible as well. So we haven't talked about the soundtrack yet. But this is an absolutely fantastic soundtrack. There's some original music composed for the film. There's also a lot of great. Are they needle drops? This is Rafe. So during this sequence, it's Rafe Vaughan Williams, Fantasia on a Theme by Thomas Tallis, and man, like, it's just perfect. For me, that is the piece of music now I think of when I look at the sea. Like, it just is just so moving, and it's just like this huge, lumbering, mysterious, epic thing. These big, thick tones washing over each other, just so dramatic, like Sturm und Drang. Absolutely phenomenal. Great soundtrack for this one. We haven't talked about the violin cello stuff yet either, have we?
No, that's so cool. That's awesome, man.
There's been one of those. There's been one of those as well. So it's during the refit sequence, I think. It's when we get the first jam session between Captain Aubrey and Stephen Maturin, and they play a little bit of Mozart, don't they? Which, again, very jaunty, very fun, just as they're weighing anchor from their initial refit. Very, very nice. Cool.
Never a tune you could dance to.
Scrape, 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 scrape.
Here we go again. The goddamn officers and their goddamn hobbies.
Yeah, so Aubrey then, to this end, tells his officers he's figured out where the Acheron is going to be. And this is, I mentioned in our chat earlier on that I had a conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is this. So Aubrey tells his officers that he's heading for the Galapagos Islands during one of their dinners in the wardroom. I've also missed out, we haven't talked about yet, some of their other dinners in the wardroom. We should probably talk about that. So there's been one of those as well, I think, already by this point, which is the chat about Nelson. I think they're celebrating after decoying the Acheron away on the first time, and we have like the first like captain holding court in the wardroom. It's worth pointing out in naval tradition that the captain is not a member of the wardroom. He has his own great cabin, and that's where he normally takes the majority of his meals. He's invited into the wardroom on the request of the first lieutenant, or executive officer as it's termed nowadays, who is the president of the wardroom. And the same was still true in those days. So the captain would have come in as a guest into the wardroom for a special meal, and they would put on like a mess dinner for it. This isn't like a nightly occurrence. He's not there taking all these meals every day. So this is like a special occasion. And he's in there and he's holding court about... they're talking about Nelson and his great victories of his past, and they're talking about how he's dined with Nelson on a couple of occasions, and you get like the proper like everyone's butt stalking a little bit to Captain Aubrey because they love him. Going like, "Oh, might we trouble you, sir, for an anecdote?"
For anecdote, I love that bit. It's like, please, sir, may I have a crumb of anecdotal evidence about the man himself, Nelson.
So we get all that stuff, and that's great. And I think we're definitely going to cover pretty much that whole conversation in quotes. So I'm not labouring right here, but so we get those. They're great. And we have another one where again they are now talking about where they're going to go next. So the captain calls for the Killick, and the Killick's already in the room. This is another example of like senior rate grumbling. He's like, "Killick, lads, I'm already here, aren't I?" All right, man. Jesus Christ. You're fine. God. Yeah. He's like, so this is where we're going to go. And he presents this pudding. And then all the officers all crowd around it and look over it and they go, "That's the Galapagos Islands." As if they haven't heard the two-deck buzz from the Killick who's going, "He's got to be making a bloody pudding that's the shape of the Galapagos Islands. Blah, 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 blah." I guarantee you, they've definitely moaned about having to make that pudding already on board, and it's like the talk of like two deck, and like everyone, all the officers have like heard it through other people. "Oh, why has he got me making a pudding of the Galapagos? We're all going to the Galapagos Islands, lads. Have you heard?" And then suddenly it's like, "Look at this! Oh, it's the Galapagos Islands, sir. Fantastic." And he's got a little model Acheron in there, and he has that whole bit where he's like, "The Acheron for me!" And he's it. Fantastic, love that. Yes, so they're going there because that is where Britain's whaling fleet may be found, and the whaling fleet has been identified as a target of the Acheron. Maturin later tells Aubrey that the Galapagos are legendary to naturalists such as himself, and Aubrey promises the Doctor that they'll be granted several days of exploring the islands. I think this was a foolish promise to make, given the urgency of their mission, but his heart's in the right place. But yeah, this goes on to annoy me. Aubrey then tells his officers they're heading there, and then when the Surprise reaches the islands, we have a lovely sequence here with the bit of bark in G, and everyone's really excited to see the islands. They're all observing the wildlife. They're looking at the iguanas, they're looking at the flightless birds,
And they're like, oh, they're disgusting. They're covered in warts. It's amazing. They have travelled like the far side of the world, and they're looking at these amazing creatures. Oh, fucking gross. Kill it with hammers.
I like Mr. Bowitt, who's like,
woman anywhere. Not a woman to be found.
I love how Mr. Bowitt is like, those turtles will make good eating. Like, straight away, like, whatever that is, I'm gonna fucking kill it and eat it. Fantastic. God, fantastic. Yeah, so when they reach the island, they see a small whaling boat. I say whaler as in like the little sea boat. Is the shape of it is called a whaler. And there's some surviving crew of the Albatross, a whaling ship, burned by a big black three-master, and everyone knows it instantly to be the Acheron.
Jack Sparrow.
You have heard of me. Jack.
That is the stage set for Jack-on-Jack violence.
Just two Jacks fighting together, call that a jack-off, man.
Yeah. So Jack orders all hands to make sail and pursue the Acheron, and this upsets Dr. Maturin, who protests that Aubrey is breaking his word, so let him explore, at which point the captain replies, "We don't have time for your damned hobbies, sir." I am with Aubrey on this, mate. This is not a science exposition, this is a warship. We've got stuff to do. Really pisses me off, and I feel like
you said we could stop it for ice cream and Spithead, sir.
Mom!
I don't want to intercept the Russians in the channel again.
You promised.
Because he goes into a full big whinge. I understand, right? There's almost two sides to this, because we find out that Jack has massively exceeded his orders and going this far down. They absolutely shouldn't have gone this far. He's bound geographically to a certain area of responsibility, and he has left it. So, fair enough. That's not Maturin's complaint, though. Maturin's complaint is like, "Daddy, you promised we could we could go to the zoo." And that's... and it's like, get on the program, dude. We're here to kill French people, not look at iguanas.
I want to look
Doctor.
at frogs. We have frogs at home, Doctor.
Listen, Doctor, I will turn this ship round and nobody's going to fucking Disneyland. I've had it a year with you. Now look at your iPad and shut up.
You didn't even do your homework before we left.
But then he does a big whinge about like, oh, well, you see, like, I rather sympathise with mutineers, actually. I think it's, it's like, people shouldn't be oppressed and people should be taken out of their chosen occupations and sent to sea. And it's like, yes, but you weren't. Were you, Stephen? Like you're a volunteer here. No one press gangs the doctor, the surgeon.
Can you imagine?
No one's like, oh, you're a drunk in a tavern ashore. Here's a scalpel. Like,
it's like, you're being press ganged. Oh no, you're being press ganged in what's probably one of the best paid roles on the ship.
Yeah.
Take that, motherfucker. You know.
I mean, yeah, I understand press ganging. Obviously wrong. It's basically sending people to prison, into the military service. However, compared to like poverty in the day, like, if you were put into the Navy, you're like, well, you're getting fed, you're getting paid a wage, you get a little bit of rum every day until the 31st of July 1971.
You're basically hammered 24/7 and you're being paid for it, rather than being shipped away to Australia for stealing one piece of bread or being left to rot in a prison.
Yeah. So,
literally being arbitrarily executed for things that like minor misdemeanors.
You looked at your landowner's chicken funnily. We're going to hang you now.
I mean, sure.
I think we should bring it back. I think we should just make drunk people wake up on frigates 20 miles from shore.
Some nations do still exercise conscription into their navies. I did a Baltic deployment in 2021, and the Estonians had conscripts on board.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't get to. I did go on board. I spent a bit of time talking to their exo, but I didn't really meet any of the conscripts. But yeah, interesting, isn't it? How we do things differently around Europe. So we'll get back to this dissenting talk from Maturin a bit after we've had some civil disobedience on board.
Dr. Maturin.
Yeah. Ron.
Got him.
Give him the
Pull
program,
up.
Doctor.
His writing is this fire.
Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think this exceeding his orders months ago thing is an ongoing theme with Jack? Because if I understand it right, and this is where his rank clashes with the film title as well, it would be a bit odd for a post-captain to be in command of a 28-gun frigate.
I think it must be like, I think he's known as a bit of a bar lad. It's my read on it. is that he's really, really good, but he's not going to make the. I haven't read all the books, but like he's not going to make the top super tier of the Navy because he's not a rule abider. He's a rule breaker. Again, like he's roughly based on Lord Cochrane, Earl of Dundonald, who left towards the end of his career and basically posted up into South America and basically created the Chilean Navy and like helped them make various South American navies and was really influential in spreading that good message to the world. But he wasn't like he wasn't part of. I mean, he's a lord, right? But in terms of like the approved list of the establishment, he wasn't on the in club.
It was something that irked me earlier when I looked at the. I think it wasn't Disney. The summary of the film was describing him as a young captain, which he definitely isn't.
I don't think he is.
Surprise is barely classed as a frigate.
Yeah.
She's more like an oversized sloop of war.
Yeah.
And he's definitely not young for that. I'd be old for that.
They also
captain.
They also highlight that he's been in over 20 years because you see that script on there and it has like JA 1785 and it's like Jack Aubrey wrote that when he was a midshipman. They said there's enough blood in the wood on here that he could be a distant relation. What shit? Could you imagine that? like imagine that like nowadays. There's enough blood on this GRP on HMS Pembroke.
That I identify this vessel as my cousin, and God help anyone who upsets my cousin.
So some days into their voyage from the Galapagos, Surprise is becalmed, and the dead heat is starting to affect the crew to the point where they believe there is a bad omen on board or a Jonah. They single out Midshipman Holland as said Jonah, citing that the Acheron first appeared on his watch and that he was scaling the mizzen when it broke as they were sailing on Cape Horn. And the focus of all this ire is a man named Seaman Nagel, Joseph Nagel, who knocked up the model, the carpenter's mate, and he is disrespectful and insubordinate towards Holland. So Holland is, I think we have to have a little chat here about Holland. So Holland is probably the most tragic character, I think, in this film.
100%.
He's not by any means a bad guy. He has a few chats with Aubrey, and Aubrey even says, like, the knowledge is there. You're a good sailor. You know what you're doing. He just fundamentally lacks confidence and a bit of backbone. And he falls foul, I think, of a really easy thing for a naval officer to do, which is to get too friendly with the people under their charge, which is awkward because, as the film states, you can't be like a friend, like quote unquote full on friend to them, but by no means are you to be a tyrant either. And it puts you in a really weird space where, like, you have to remember there's a professional boundary, and I think we're probably more able to deal with that in the current day, where the bounds between stations and life are like basically kind of gone, and that we don't really live in that society so much anymore, and that there are the hyper elite billionaires and everybody else, right? So and everyone in the Navy is everybody else by sheer dint that we have jobs. Okay, so it is based more or less on, so the whole rank structure, which some people might say is outdated, is based basically on administrative functions primarily, and a lot of the prestige and the class of holding rank is now kind of gone, and it is basically time based, skills based, and based around the administrative necessity of having to have a divisional system that makes the Navy work the way it works, right? That is all to say that in those days, when Holland's interacting, like, he's supposed to occupy a completely different social class from the lads on board. And when Aubrey says, you can't be too friendly with them, they will come to despise you for it and see you as weak, it's because in those days, and this actually still went on up until like the Second World War, because there's an officer's pocketbook that is like widely available, you can buy online from 1940 odd, which explains like the average junior rate, who was meant to come from, in these days, not so much, totally not these days, but back in those days, not meant to be educated, broadly speaking, like oftentimes illiterate and occupying of a completely different social class. The kind of people who would get press ganged because they didn't have homes or jobs or a standing society. You could just be plucked off the streets without any consequence. Okay, so if they are meant to be viewing the officers as a better class of person than them. They are meant to understand their station in life and go, this person is fundamentally better than me in some way. And if Holland is trying too hard to get on their level, they will just go, well, who the fuck are you then? If you're not better than me, who the fuck are you? And that's basically the trap he's fallen into here by being too nice. It doesn't happen the same way now, but there is a similar idea that if you're too friendly and too familiar, and spend too much time in their mess and being informal with them, that when the time comes for you to change your bearing and deliver an order, you're going to get an answer back instead of quick action, which is obviously also detrimental to naval discipline and the efficiency, the warfighting efficiency of the service. So I feel really bad for Holland because his heart's in the right place, but he's fundamentally fucked up, and set his sword out completely incorrectly. And he's a midshipman as well, which is the hardest rank, I think, to occupy in the Navy at this time. Especially the age he's at. So again, midshipmen are meant to be children of, in this time, 13 and up, sort of basically children who are sent off to join ships. They do their learning there. They are basically under training. They don't live in the wardroom. They have a little gun room that is theirs instead. And their whole reason to be on board is to learn their trade so they can sit the exam for lieutenant, and then they will get a complement position where they do a proper job and hold actual responsibility on board later. I'm not 100% sure if they hold the commission yet. I know that when in the Royal Navy now, you do get a commission and then you come out the other end as midshipman. They changed that a little while ago though. So when I went for my training, I was an officer cadet, but I also technically held the rank of midshipman, and then I held midshipman for a further about 12 months until they changed the policy, and actually I should have been, because I had prior service, should have been a sub-lieutenant the entire time. The exam for lieutenant now is a different thing fundamentally. It's now, its broadest, closest equivalent is the navigation watchkeeping certificate exam that you take place after you finish your SFT, so ship's specialist fleet time, which is like you learning your trade by holding watches on board a ship, which is basically what the middies are doing here. You do that time to get an allotted amount of hours. It's changed fundamentally now because it's not just an interior Navy thing. Now you're also achieving a standard required to hold STCW, which is a International Maritime Organization level qualification in ship driving. So you do all that, you do your exams, you do your simulator runs that we do nowadays, and all the various bits of that. You get a bit of an oral board during it kind of thing as well, because you're required to explain your decisions. And at the end of it, tick Fiji, your black book of bridge qualifications occurs, and then you become lieutenant. So all this is to say is that Holland is still under training, but he's 30 years old. He's way too old for the role he's doing, and he's fucked up. What should have happened is Aubrey should have got around him a lot earlier as his commanding officer and should have set him on the right track. And also, so should have all the lieutenants and Lieutenant Pullings in particular as the XO. Someone's in charge of training all those guys. Ultimately, everything's responsible to the captain, but someone on board would have been responsible for making sure all those midshipmen were progressing properly through their training as well. And Holland has been let down by the system. He also has failed the examination of lieutenant twice. I don't know what he did, obviously, because he's a fictional character, but at some point during that journey, they probably should have said, "Shipmate, it's not happening for you. Leave the service." Because he's getting to the point now where he's more danger to be on board than not. It's just unfortunate. But yeah, anyway, that's my hot take about Holland. What do you guys think?
I think it's really quite painful to see him just get kind of thinned out by his 13-year-old mates when he goes back to the when he goes back to his quarters at one time with them, and when your 13-year-old shipmates are giving you shit and telling you how much you've biffed it, and you, not so much that, but you get that kind of vibe from them, wow, you fucked this one up, dude. It's painful to see. I cringed for him when he joined in the sea shanty singing.
Yeah.
That's a key moment. That's pivotal. I think he is one of those managers who kind of try too hard to be a friend. He's up there with the whole, we're like a family here when they interview you for a job, and it's gigantic red flag, it's like.
Yeah, I think that's insidious. I don't think Holland is. I think Holland is generally just out of his depth. I think.
Yeah, that's actually a fair one. I retract my statement.
No, that's all right. But because I was thinking, we were chatting in the group chat earlier on before this. I don't think Holland is dangerous, and that if he were to become lieutenant and then crack on, he'd be, I think, ineffectual, or it would take an incredibly long time for him to develop the trust of the men, and then they would work for him because they liked him. But that's and this is exploiting different kind of power bases. So we talk about power bases. Yeah. So we talk about leadership training. There are different power bases that you can sort of draw upon in different situations to get people to follow your word of command, right? And what he fundamentally lacks is like legitimate position because he's a midshipman. He does outrank them. They should listen to him, but that on its own isn't enough because the people he's talking to, right, maybe the lads in the forecastle, partnership down there, the ABs, not so much, but he's dealing with like the sailing master on a daily basis. He's dealing with like the people who hold named positions, the senior rates, if you like. He's going to struggle with that because he hasn't got any legitimacy because he's still under training and he's basically a sprog. He's not though because he's so old, but he basically is, right? That also comes with him having a reputation now. Oh, he's like the oldest midshipman in the fleet, probably. He's 29 years old and he's a midshipman. That's so incredibly bad because like how long has he been at this for? He's a knowledgeable sailor, but has fundamentally failed as a personality to progress and get through his examination for lieutenant. Also, how good a sailor is he if he can't get through the examination? Because there's a lot of technical proficiency required for that as well, as we've all seen. Probably seen it dramatised in Hornblower, the examination for lieutenant, Fatterback, Dover Cliffs, all that kind of stuff. And maybe
Mastered Mr. Hornblower.
Yeah, maybe if there'd been a fire ship into the harbour during his exam, he might have done better. But yeah, ridiculous. So yeah,
if he's come aboard at the same age as the other guys, he's been a midshipman for what, 17 years?
Yeah,
more than half his life, like the majority of his life at this point. And it's like when he's talking about essentially for him like an entry level job for that long, and it's literally taken up a significant part of your life. He is a tragic character. I mean, it would be, horrible to be in his shoes for much of the day, I think.
It'd be humiliating, I think, to be sharing, like, the gun room with, again, like, this 13, 14-year-olds. Calamy is, I think, even had Holland lived, Calamy still would have been made local acting lieutenant ahead of Holland. And I think that would have been, like, yet another brutal humiliation. Like, he's probably got, like, a list of these over the past, like, 10 years of his career, So you shouldn't be under training for that long. In the Navy, going back probably about in the last sort of 30 or 40 years, the going rate for the length of time a midshipman being midshipman for used to be for the entire duration of your specialist fleet time training period, so about 3 years. And I think that's probably about true for these times. The other thing that's specifically about the Navy at this time is that a large portion of your progression for your career was look at the draw in terms of the ships you were on, the jobs they were given to do, and your commanding officer as well, who had a humongous say in whether or not you progress forward. So the problem with Holland is that because he's cast him perfectly with Lee Ingleby, and they've done a great job on the makeup and stuff, they've made him give off the bearing of someone who's just a bit like awkward and claky and uncomfortable and unheimlich, and his clothes don't seem to like fit and all that kind of stuff. Such a personality driven Navy at the time, you can just see that like every commanding officer he's had has probably been given the ick, and it's gotten worse and worse as he's gotten older and older. And they've just been like, I don't want this fucking guy is not going to promote on my watch. And that's what's kind of happened to him, I think, which is a bit of a shame. He's not an antagonistic bad person by any means, but he's just not fit for the job that he's trying to get into at the standards of the time.
His life would have been saved by him getting dismissed a few years ago and just like given the sack and said, you know what, try something else, man. Go into finance. I mean, it's an option for officers apparently.
Fucking work at the Toll Point Ferry.
just go be a highwayman or something like that,
Be a doorman at the Navy board.
Nice.
It's a shame. I often think about what would happen with the modern day Navy equivalent of stuff that's from like media from like that covers this kind of time period. I always think about like when Hornblower gets like landed on shore with half pay. And I always think like what would be the modern day equivalent of that? And it's like, well,
me no longer getting my being at sea money.
That's it. Yeah, you lose your sea pay, you lose your longer separation allowance because you're not at sea. You lose your X factor probably. It's probably the closest thing that would happen. And then, but then I always think, because what does Hornblower do? He starts going around various like gentlemen's clubs, playing whist or something, gambling to like make more money. And it's all like the sad equivalent of that nowadays is probably like someone like at 3 o'clock in the morning, like half cut in the Groves and the casino in like Gunwharf Keys, like trying to earn back enough money to pay their sky high rent to some awful landlord,
or to buy their pawn and sword back.
Yeah. Pawns his sword as well, which is absolutely terrible. Yeah.
Just starts like laying like mad esoteric bets on Polymarket that like somehow and
like trading 212. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Gets into crypto. Let's be real here. Gets into NFTs. All my ship's gone.
I wasted all my land pay allowance on Dogecoin.
Yeah.
I know a guy who's got
somebody buy my sword back for me.
Won't they?
I am no longer getting CPay. I have spent all my CPay on a stupid car. Anyway.
Oh, shit.
Taylor's orders time.
What's the 18th century version of buying a Land Rover? Buying a horse with like lots of health problems.
This is a horse. It leaks.
A really big, like impressive... Like really big, impressive fucking destrier or whatever they call those like big fuck off war horses. But like it's got like a load of problems wrong with it. It's just gammy as fuck, and the vet's constantly coming out and fix it. And it's like it essentially does leak.
Okie, where we at? Later, Hollum, believing himself to be the Jonah, as he's been involved in many unfortunate incidents on the void, commits suicide by jumping into the ocean, clasping a cannonball in front of fellow midshipman Bettany. Eerily, the wind picks up and rain starts falling again soon afterwards. So this is sad. It's also a bit of a meme / joke in the Navy, which is "You've always been very kind," and then he steps over the ship holding the cannonball. Very, very sad. I also feel
the saddest thing is that this adult man's last words on this earth before he jumps smooth off the ship to a 13-year-old kid, because he's got no like kind of peers of his own age, and that's like, man, that kind of fucking hurts.
It's so sad, because like Bettany's like, "I think the wind will pick up soon," and he's like, "I'm sure of it," because he's about to commit suicide. So
I'm sure of it because I'm gonna Kermit suicide right now.
Yeah, it's awful. The funeral for him is also like pretty chilling, because you have you've got Aubrey doing, first of all, Killick opens the Bible on like the section about Jonah. It's like, you fucking twat, like a guy died.
Yeah, okay.
And then Aubrey gives like his address, which is we're not always as fortunate to be the person we wish we'd be in life. And it's just like, man, you appreciate the tragedy of it all, but also like, don't talk shit about him at his own funeral.
Yeah.
Jesus, like this guy sucked, but he knew it.
Yeah.
Jesus. And then the film does him a little bit dirty, or not, where it starts to rain and the wind picks up at the funeral. It's like, shit, maybe he was the Jonah. Fuck. Which is a bit mean to say about someone who obviously tragically taken their life. Although you made the good point in the group chat, Sanya, that it might be because he asked forgiveness of those who did him wrong, and that's maybe why the curse was lifted. But yeah, very sad. So the next bit we get is a little montage of everyone happily washing their hair, and you see how incredibly long the Killick's hair is, which is fun. Wild. And then the next bit is, and then he said, Peregrine took Billy Boys, calls out to Maturin and says, "Have you seen this great big bird? There's an albatross flying around." So Maturin's running around the deck trying to see this albatross that's flying around at the same time as the Royal Marines captain, Howard, is being an absolute rogue.
Christ, fuck me, man.
The first rule of firearms safety is always shoot the ship's surgeon.
The second rule of firearm safety is just be yourself, and the third one is have fun.
Yes.
So yeah, he's not pointing the weapon in a safe direction, and that he's flinging it around the place on the deck, everybody's on the deck, and then sure enough, he shoots Maturin in the side, going, "I'm sorry, the bird went low," as if that was a justification for aiming the gun anywhere within the ship.
Yeah, as if that's a justification for fucking trying to shoot an albatross anyway. I mean, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, etc., isn't it meant to be incredibly bad luck on an already fucking cursed voyage, by the way? It isn't like everything's been incredibly jammy up to this, like they haven't had any run of good luck at all. It's like, oh, let's double the fuck down by shooting an albatross. Christ.
Everyone ashore cancels.
Right, Captain of the Marines, would you like to break a few mirrors while you're at it?
Indeed. Very, very cursed. So he gets shot. He loses consciousness. The surgeon's mate, Higgins, to his credit, realises that a bit of the cloth from the shirt is in the wound with the ball, and explains that to Captain Jack, that it will suppurate and fester unless it is removed, and they need to remove it. Aubrey asks him, politely but firmly, "Are you up to this job?" And Higgins is like, "Oh yeah, once I've read some books to get me bearings, you know.
And looked at some pictures.
a bit easier if we were on dry land. We didn't have all this. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, mate.
Yeah. I love Jack's response, like, look at pictures.
Yeah.
It's like,
look at pictures.
Maybe if you word it and said, consult some diagrams.
Yeah.
It's all about how you speak to management at this point. Like, instead of saying fuck off, say, okay, I'll do that. And then just don't do it. That's how we deal with management.
Yeah. Yeah, Higgins, yeah. Get this into OODA loop. Yeah, so pretty bad news. Also, a sail is spotted on the horizon ahead, which is believed to be the Acheron. Aubrey is now faced with a difficult choice to follow the ship or get the ship alongside on dry land and give Stephen a fighting chance of having a successful operation to remove the bullet. And to his credit, they go alongside. Stephen regains consciousness and he realizes that he's in a tent on the Galapagos and they've abandoned the pursuit of the Acheron in order to save him. And Maturin performs surgery on himself with the aid of a mirror in a fantastic scene and successfully removes the musket ball, which is phenomenal because you have the whole bit of like the comedy of like, oh, well, if you don't need me, I'll just be outside. It's like, oh, actually, Captain, I do need you to like put some pressure on the wounds. And he's like, oh, well, I've been around wounds all my life. I should be fine. And he's like visibly queasy and unhappy about it, which is fantastic. And you have the whole thing of Padine, the loblolly boy, is like trying to hold the mirror, but then he's like grossed out, so he turns away and all that stuff.
The loblolly boy. This is one of the most obscure Jack speak you've run out. The loblolly boy.
The loblolly boy is a term of Jack speak. Have I got my Jack speak dictionary nearby? Loblolly boy, older term for a young lad who assisted the ship's surgeon, as described in the novel Roderick Random by Tobias Smollett. Still senior to a pox doctor's clerk, loblolly was the nickname given to a thin, watery gruel served in the sick berth. Yeah, so basically it's named after the thin gruel that people were served in like sick bays. Not so much on ships of the line, but in naval hospitals. But there you go.
Imagine your entire job being named after hospital food, man.
Pretty grim. Pretty.
Your rank is gruel, George. By the way, get back to it.
It's like you could have like a modern day US Navy equivalent named after that weird mystery meat that we've seen in all those photographs that were going around from someone's meal on some US Navy ship. That it just looks like some like animal's tongue has been ripped smooth out of its head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mystery meat.
Absolutely foul. I did do some digging onto that particular bit of naval victualling and discovered that it was meant to be like kebab meat, basically. Yeah, like fat packed, pre-cooked kebab meat that they just throw into like a pan to heat through. Well,
what would be better for morale is if they had the proper like meat tornado kind of setup. And it's like a Turkish guy to call you boss man. It's like cut strips off this slowly rotating meat tornado, and then
you had me at meat tornado. Yeah, so yeah. That was a scram picture of on USS Abraham Lincoln, which is obviously currently stationed out in vicinity of probably the Gulf of Oman. But yeah, grim
scenes.
Indeed. So he performs the surgery on himself, successfully removes the musket ball and the bit of cloth, which will patch up nicely, sir. And he now has the opportunity to explore the Galapagos. He makes many scientific discoveries, including his type of flightless cormorant, and he, Padine, and Bettany are catching iguanas, little lizards, and bits of plant and other bits and bobs, bugs and stuff, and having a rare old time.
It's great. It's such a good dude's rock ADHD side quest.
It's great, and he's like, naval discipline doesn't exist out here. We're going to walk to the other side of the island. That's where my flightless cormorant was. So that's 10 miles. We'll be better get going. La, 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 la. And he loves it, and he's super, super excited. Unfortunately, on the wander across, he's on top of a hill. He notices a large three-masted ship sailing into one of the island bays, flying the French flag, and he knows it must be the Acheron, and that the Acheron has returned. He is visibly crestfallen, but thank Christ for this. Maturin knows that he has got a sworn duty to inform the ship, and they get back as post haste, which is good because all that whinging earlier on about doing stuff unnecessarily and this being a tyrannical regime and all that kind of stuff. He's not disloyal. He was just a bit grumpy, so that's nice. They rush back because he's
First report, not disloyal, just a bit grumpy.
Yeah.
It's probably because Aubrey drank the last coffee half an hour earlier.
Most sense of humour failures during FOSS training are related to coffee supply on board or the billing of coffee on board. I always bring my own. Doctor is crestfallen that his trek has been cut short, but he has to return to the ship. And as they're running back, obviously he gets a bit slowed down because of his wound. So Padine has to pick him up and carry him, and all the specimens have to be left behind. And they open all the cages, and you see all the creepy crawlies flee from their cages, and it's very sad, but also nice that he thought to open the cages. That's nice. After observing the deceptive qualities of a stick insect, which was shown to him by Bettany and Stephen, Aubrey has an idea. The Surprise will be disguised as a slovenly, unsailor-like whaling ship. And I love all this because he's basically saying, like, with the whaling ship master right there, like, right, we're going to make ourselves look like these pricks, but
not like him specifically, but
yeah, present company accepted, but people
the
like
other dipshits,
these dickheads, these
get a load of that guy.
We're going to luff our sails like this dick probably does. Not even seeing his ship, but we're going to luff our sails like this prat probably does. Right? We're going to take all caps off. We're going to don't dress so well. Stop watching. We're going to look like arseholes, like this guy. No offense.
Yeah. Bang your head off the bulkheads and make yourself a bit stupider while you're at it. We're going to have to pretend to be people who are fucking subnormal at this point.
I love it. They do all that.
No offense, whaler guy, but you know you're a credit to your career, I'm sure. Wink.
Yeah. There's this one moment of cliche military comedy they just had to get in there where he says, "Stop saying yes, sir, to everything," and the entire room is just yes, sir.
We're still struggling with that, I think. That's good. I like that a lot. Before this, they did a little bit of gunnery drill as well. I enjoyed that very much because we haven't talked about it. We'll do it in the quotes, I guess.
Oh,
yeah.
That was man, goddamn, that was such a fucking cool sequence as well, though.
Yeah, it really was. Enjoyed that. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then as this is happening, he has his hearts and minds speech to his ship's company, saying, like, you know, even though we be on the far side of the world, title drop, this ship is England. And all that good stuff. Really, makes your heart glow. If it would come from somebody else, you'd think, "Oh, what pitiful stuff!" Because it comes from Jack Aubrey. You know, you feel your heart glow.
See what you did there? Now pass me the salt.
So there they are, stooging about with their luffing sails, which
smoking cigars and drinking tea.
Drinking tea, and they've got like all the smoke from the whaling
with
rendering.
2 lambs of sugar in there, the decadent bastards that they're
3 he gives him because he likes him. I like that. There's another thing about Killick that shows, because he grumbles and grumbles and grumbles, but he's all right really, and I love that. So that's really good. So we get an incredibly cliched French accent yelling out like, "Stop the English whalers! You have no hope, you silly English nigget."
I was gonna say that's the energy. It was like,
"Now go back, your father was a hamster and your mother smelled like elderberries. And now go back to another island or I shall sink you a second time."
That's exactly what they sound like.
So good, man. It's like, it's like that.
I told you Aubrey has one.
Say that, or it's like some like that, like iconic, "You have no chance to survive, make your time" fucking video game intro meme. "It's you. Someone set us up the bomb. Gentlemen, you have no chance to survive. Make your time. Move every zig for great justice," etc.
"All your best belong to us."
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, so I love this. And then there's a conspiratorial look on the upper deck of the Surprise, and an epic call of "Let fly!" goes out. And the king's colours are hoisted, and the battle is on, and with that, a amazing broadside, close range, schwack, 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 all aiming towards the mainmast of the Acheron. And then there's a great tense sequence where the smoke is literally clearing, while we wait for the report of what happened, and then we see the mainmast of the Acheron creak and fall. Everyone's cheering like, "Yeah, get on!" And the fray begins. Just before all this, though, we had some dishing out some jobs. So as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Calamy gets locally rated up to acting 3rd lieutenant, and will lead a boarding party to rescue the whalers. There are 30 whalers imprisoned on board the Acheron, who will turn the tide of the battle if they are released. That would be a secondary objective if this was a video game level. And
you'd only need like rescue like 10 of them though. Like it's like the rest of them will just like stand there like repeating the same like animation cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mr. Blatey is disappointed because he is not allowed to go in the boarding party because he's a tiny child. And I guess
Only one arm.
he's a tiny one-armed child. I don't know what he thought he was going to do, but actually we see it a bit, so it's great. Yeah, so he's disappointed. He goes to entreat the captain. I love his gumption, and I love his balls. He's brave as, because he wants to get in the thick of it. So props to him. Again, MVP of the movie for me. Captain Jack tells him, "Oh no, I need you to command the quarterdeck, for when the boarding begins, you will be in command of the ship." He's like, "Command the ship? Oh, thank you, sir."
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! Which is actually great, because like all you have to do is reframe the ask a little bit, and suddenly he's like all over it, you know.
Master's given Dobby a frigate.
Jesus.
Mate, he is free. There are none as so free as the sons of the waves, it should be. Okay. Oh, look.
Mentioned.
Oh, the ship's jolly tartar are men. All right. So, yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So the boarding commences, having schwacked the upper deck of the Acheron. And we were talking about very sad final people's lines.
Oh yeah.
The boarding party arrives on board. A big group of French guys are all playing possum on the upper deck, and nobody knows, as the smoke is clearing, who's alive and who's dead. They all think they're dead. And the sailing master goes, "Seems to me like the job is done." And just as he says that, he gets shot like square through the forehead.
Yeah, just
and that's a real shame, because he's like one of my favourite characters.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about it, but he led the sing-along of Don't Forget Your Old Shipmates
yes.
earlier on during one of the mess dinners. Great voice, really wonderful rendition. Safe and sound at home again, let the waters roar, Jack. Yeah, wonderful. Also, he had like one of the great lines earlier in the movie, which is like, 100 miles of shining sea between me and her, and he brings her up on our stern. That's seamanship. Just wonderful. So he's a big loss when he goes down. I felt that. I feel like, I tell you what, again, like I said, this film is full of that guys. There are casualties during this final confrontation, and you feel every single one of them, because they're all familiar faces by this point, because you've been living with them. That's another thing this film really captures, is that you're actually more embedded in the crew than you realise, because you see these like faces, and you see them go down, and you're like, oh shit, no, not that guy, to like pretty much all of them.
It's because it's so immersive. It's because like you see just how well they work. You see the seriousness with which they perform it. There aren't any... It's easy when you're writing a war film to throw in a bunch of like stupid, like kind of easy character archetypes and stuff like that. Like, oh, the crazy guy, the wild card, the super religious guy that's going to snap at the end of the second act and stuff like that. And you don't really have this in this. They seem all very kind of real. And I like that about it. And it makes all the deaths kind of, you might have a like emotional effect on you. And it's just powerful movie making.
Yeah, it really is. It reminds me a little bit what you were just saying there of Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers as well. It achieves a similar feat. Band of Brothers is phenomenal. It's less impressive there because it's done over like 10 hours and they've got all that time. But this is only a 2.5 hour film, and this happens at about the 2 hour mark. And it whips along. It only really slows down a little bit during the Galapagos sequence. But like the rest, otherwise, they've achieved all the character work like during action sequences or during the build-up to an action sequence. It's actually phenomenal how they've done that. The only bit where it slows down a little bit, I think, is when you've got, Joseph Nagel is talking about, well, think about your share of the prize money. That ship will be loaded up with gold, ambergris, and all the jewels of Araby. And then all that stuff. Anyway, final fight. Leaving the Surprise, Jack and Lieutenant Pullings lead the boarding parties onto the Acheron and are ambushed themselves. Meanwhile, acting Third Lieutenant Peter Calmy leads the group to rescue the captured whalers. Blately notices that they are trying to shoot out the quarterdeck of the Surprise, aims his guns in to knock out their guns, blasts a massive hole in the side of the Acheron, and then noticing obviously there's now an easy point of egress from the Acheron, reasons that he also must board the Acheron and abandon the Surprise. Funny old thing that the guy who really wanted to be involved in the boarding has found a way to get involved in the boarding, eh?
So listen here, you little shit.
We've got to board him! We've got to board! And he jumps on board, and he's like 9 years old or something. I don't know how old he actually was, but he has like one arm, and but with his other arm, he's like tooled up with a little pistol, and he's like, fire! Just like blasting off. It's like, oh my god, he's loving it. Great. Just what a lad, absolute legend. So it's him from into the gun deck with the doctor and which is obviously Stephen Maturin and the surgeon's mate Higgins, and yeah, they're in there like stopping them from using their guns and stuff. There's a hilarious little bit where Higgins like puts his hand in front of the hammer on the cannon.
That's great.
It's like, ooh,
it's
very funny.
It's one of the few bits in the film. It's like played for like physical humor kind of laughs, and it's just like legitimately funny, and it isn't a fucking big sigh again. There are ways to put comedy bits in films that just ruin them, and they fly now, that kind of shit. And this guy jamming his hand under the flintlock mechanism, it's funny, it gets you a laugh, but it's not fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
It's good as well because this character we've got to know a little bit through his not being suited at all to performing surgery. So he's been a bit of a punchline up to that point, but now he's given a win here because he does something that's funny and in line with his character, but is also like objectively for the good.
Yeah, physically
so it's a nice way of tying him up with a little victorious moment. I think that's really nice. Yeah, great. So yeah, lots of bloody close quarters combat takes place. Lots of sword play, all that kind of stuff going on. Really cool. It's a great sequence.
I love how Blakeney just looks like 18th century Rambo going on the ship because he's all the pistols for the imprisoned whalers slung around his neck. And it's like,
oh yeah. That's class, yeah. And then when Callamy gets to releasing all the whalers and he's like hand them off to them as they're all flooding out and they're like they're fixing for a scrap. It's really good.
It's like tool up, boys, let's go. It's hunting season.
Yeah, and it's not long until after that where it starts to die down and it's like you have that moment where it's gone quiet and like, are they still going? Are they still fighting? Have they stripped their clothes? I think they have. Have we found their captain? Yeah. Oh, I'll just keep looking. They carry on and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually it has died down. They've seized control of the ship and Aubrey searches for the captain of the Acheron. He goes into his great cabin, gets ambushed by a guy who tries to stab him but fails.
And then kind of like slowly, shamefully retreats back down on the hatch.
Walks back into his
I mean, Russell Crowe's a fucking unit, right? Isn't he? And I mean, he's playing a character who's a unit, who's like, you would. I'll see myself out now. Awkward.
Yeah. And he's like, to the infirmary. So they go to the ship's infirmary, and you see what appears to be the doctor just finishing up confirming the death of what appears to be the captain because he's got a coat and everything on, and then he says to Jack Aubrey like he just died, but he wants you to have this, and he hands the sword over, surrenders the ship. So then you think that's the end of it. Cool. He says. So then Aubrey basically locally rates Pullings up to Master and Commander and says like you're gonna take the ship back to Valparaiso. It's a naval port in Chile, and we'll offload the prisoners and fix her up, and we'll rendezvous in Portsmouth, and I will take the Surprise back to the Galapagos to be nice to my pal, all that kind of stuff. And it's only when they're tuning up to do another jam session in the great cabin of the Surprise that Maturin tells them that Dr. Devine, the French, died of fever several months ago, and that the French captain that they thought was killed was actually the guy pretending to be the doctor. So that obviously there's like the captain of the French ship is is among the prisoners, and will probably be trying to plot against Captain Pullings to retake the ship, kind of stuff. Yeah. So he's like, we're going to have to go and catch up with the Acheron and escort her into Valparaiso. So he calls down for Mr. Mowat and tells him, change of course, sail by southwest, we'll be going to Valparaiso. And one more thing, beta quarters. And then absolute banger needle drop comes on as they start, as they start playing that bit of Boccherini. And we get a beautiful sequence where that's playing, and then you see the beta quarters happening like silently. You get, and it's really, it's just wonderful because you get that contrast of like this really jaunty music and the drums drumming and the ship turning around, and it's so good, absolutely epic. And then
you forgot one of the quotes of the film there.
Great quote, yeah, go into it. I know what you're going to say.
So there's this, because of the Galapagos thing, there's this ongoing thing between Jack and Maturin about him really wanting to find a flightless albatross that he's seen there, and that bird is the main reason he's always upset that he's not getting his playtime on the island. And in the final sequence, Jack looks at him like, Stephen, that bird, yes, it's flightless, isn't it? Yes. Well, it's not going anywhere. I was like, got him.
Perfect. Yeah, and that is the end of the movie. Absolutely incredible. Leaves it on a little miniature cliffhanger, but you know they're going to be victorious.
Yeah.
It's just lads on adventure. They should have made, like, right, final
15
impressions.
more of these.
They should have made 15 more of these easily.
Yeah, 100%.
This should have been.
100%.
They should be making one that should be. They should be making the 10th one now, and Russell Crowe should be like a commodore, and like Captain Pullen should be like a captain of the ship. And oh man, they should have gone full Homeland with these. There should be films of all of these, and it's a travesty, a crime that there aren't.
There's talk of a prequel.
Good. It just pisses me off that this film is so amazing, so great.
Are we always doing prequels with the same actors who have aged 20 years?
Well, that's bad.
20 years later, though, that's like, just do a sequel.
Well, yeah, but my point is that we've got like fucking 200 Marvel fucking cinematic universe films, which are all a bit shit, and like one of these. That's what annoys me. I don't really see fucking Iron Man in 10 films. I do want to see Jack Aubrey.
But do you think that maybe Midshipman Holland will return in Avengers Doomsday?
But somehow the Jonah returned.
That's obviously a meme that we're going to put on our socials in the next 2 weeks.
What's your name? Ray Holland.
Fucking hell, that's gold. That's gold, Jerry.
Captain Pullings will return. I love it. Midshipman Blakely will return.
A fucking post-credit sequence when fucking Aquaman just grabs onto Holland and just like pulls him to safety.
Like a hand plunges down and picks him out.
And like the camera cuts up and it's Aquaman and he's just like, yeah, I got work for you yet.
My boy. Oh my God.
You ask the sea for mercy. That's still a hard fucking line from the Aquaman film though.
Yeah, I want a sequel of Lucky Jack burning down the White House.
Fuck yeah.
Or, conducting some attempts at renovations, as the king said this week.
Yes. Well, we brought you a bell for, like, no reason.
A bell from HMS Trump.
You bellends.
Did I mention that all of my family were in the Royal Navy, and the Royal Navy actually kicks ass? Love that.
Look at you, President Bone Spurs.
Right, guys, this is one of my favourite films of all time, which obviously talks about in great detail. So my feelings are pretty unambiguous. Final impressions, though, before we get into categories.
That's Sanya going first. Sanya's first onto the enemy ship's deck with like 5 pistols on him.
And a sword.
And fucking 10 pints of grog in him, as well as 2 STDs.
I got my sword. I'll get my sword. I'll tell you what, I'll get my sword.
Yes, swords time. Rory, where are your flintlocks?
I don't have any.
You have from Flinsburg.
They're not flintlocks, they're cap and ball.
Close enough.
There's somewhere I took them off the wall when I thought I was going to be getting a police visit in case it looked a bit too wary.
Okay, there. There's obviously podcasts are an audio medium, so I just got up and got my sword. There we go.
Nice.
Right,
I've got a knife.
So we're all in costume now. 2 out of 3 of us have swords.
Yep.
2 out of 3 of us have silly hats.
Yep.
Perfect.
There we go.
What's my final impression? I just love the damn thing, to be honest. It's so much. It's everything. It's visually stunning. The amount of detail is amazing. Every shot of inside the ship really gives you that cramped feeling, the whole vibe of being on a ship of the period. Every outside shot looks like a historical painting of a naval battle. It's just amazing. And I think it was unfairly treated by critics at the time and really suffered from coming out during a period of generally great films.
That's true. There was a lot of good stuff happening at the same time. It's obviously happening in and around The Lord of the Rings, which was taking the world by storm, both in the box office and in awards. I think this came not too long after, obviously, Beautiful Mind we talked about at the beginning, but also like Gladiator, and I think there was some baggage there for what we expected a Russell Crowe film to be, which this doesn't quite conform to because he's doing a different voice and he's doing I remember a lot of press at the time about the violin lessons that he took and all that kind of stuff. I think this film is chock-full of action. And it does barrel along, like I mentioned. But because there's like the 1 or 2 moments of quietness, because the subject matter is the age of sail, I think people just weren't ready for it.
Pirates of the Caribbean sort of ate it to lunch a little bit.
I was
because they
going
come out
to
at
say.
similar times, right?
Yeah, I think that's
same
true
year
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So you have a very somber film and you've got a very funny film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got one film that's based on a fucking Disney ride,
Yeah.
which in itself is really similar to like Monkey Island. Young guy wants to be a pirate and falls in love with a posh English girl and gets mixed up with funny pirates kind of thing. And then you've got this film, which is painstakingly researched, full of heart, very, very dense source material. I think another thing about this film is that it's hard to get into for some people because the books are quite hard to get into. They've got quite a high barrier of entry, I think. I've bounced off the books a couple of times. Because there's a section that goes into grave detail about like how the masts are rigged and stuff, which is fine. I've done sailing on a sailing like a four-masted bark before. I've done sailing at sea like this, but even I was like, yeah, okay, this is like getting a little busman's holiday. I need to like. So I think the average person who was expecting it to be like Gladiator, which kind of plays it being historically accurate, but actually is just an action film, is a different vibe. Personal. That's my hot penneth.
For me, this film was an absolute joy. It was amazing. As far as rewatches for films for the pod go, I watched this immediately before I sat down in my kitchen and started recording this episode. And honestly, man, I'm still riding a high from it. I'm still riding a high. Emma wasn't fortunate enough to witness me watching the first about 30 minutes of the film before she then went and did literally anything else. And I'm literally like putting my hands up with my fists clenched and like shouting out the words on the screen. Oceans are now battlefields, you know?
We do some categories.
Yeah. I pulled up some stuff from casting. So, let me just open up my notes here. The first thing... What?
Pirate speak. Arr, let's open up me notes, matey.
Open up my WhatsApp that I sent myself messages to. Arr. So yeah, casting. The first thing I looked up was trying to find out who was also considered for the Jack Aubrey role. I didn't seem to find much online about that, but, right. There's been some discourse online about who people would cast as the character now. Like, enough to make this shit pop up on the Google AI summary that's ruining everyone's searches at the moment. So Google's fucking scraped the internet and found out, like, the fan casting decisions for like, a remake or a sequel. This is kind of fucking mad. People have suggested Chris Hemsworth, frequently suggested by fans as a modern choice for a scruffed-up Jack Aubrey. A big sigh from Mike there. A big sigh from Mike.
Well, I think that's coming from... because he was in that Ron Howard's film In the Heart of the Sea.
Yeah, that's
where he
right.
played a slovenly whaler.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's where that's coming
whalers.
from.
Maybe.
And he's blonde and he's Australian.
Yeah. This one will make you even more angry. Chris Pratt.
Oh, he can fuck right off.
Jesus, man, imagine.
He's got no business touching anything to do with the role, maybe.
And here we go, right? Cited for his ability to handle both action and comedic fratty roles with the capacity to show the necessary physical bulk. God almighty.
Fratty roles?
Fratty roles. Like he's a frat boy. As if, like, say that, man, I'm Jack Aubrey, I'm Chi Alpha Chi, or whatever. Fuck you.
I hate that.
Gerard Butler.
No.
Mentioned
I mean,
as...
he's not the worst one, but
yeah.
no.
Well, I mean, he squandered a submarine before and he punched out his officer, right? Punched out his CEO.
He's not a great actor in my estimation.
Mentioned as a possibility, provided he can master the accent. That's fucking shade on Gerard Butler, a professional actor. Provided he can, master a posh English accent. You know?
Yeah,
just provided, come on. Someone suggested Charlie Hunnam.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
This.
I always think of that video of Charlie Hunnam where he's talking about how he got he was outside the gate in Newcastle. And he gets accosted by like a bunch of young lads because he's cut about, he's got a beard, and he thinks he's been recognised. They're like, "How? Are you an actor?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I've just been filming." And he's like, "Gandalf the fucking wizard, you beauty fucking cunt."
That's fucking amazing, man. That's so
just
good.
Got absolutely roasted.
And the explanation of why people pick Charlie Hunnam, it's just suggested in community casting discussions. There's like no like kind of argument put from just, "Oh, well, Charlie Hunnam." Henry Cavill, but mentioned as a potential fit.
But not the worst.
Not the worst. Alexander Skarsgård.
No.
Mentioned, provided he could, I quote, thicken up for the role. Hey, Henry. Yep. Hey, Alexander. You got to get fat, dude. You got to start food maxing. You got to bulk. It's bulking season.
Again, if they base this on the fact that he's played a mariner before in The Northman.
Yeah, this is wild. Alan Reacher.
Come on, man. Be serious.
Noted for
I love the guy, but come on.
for his physical stature as a match for the, quote, absolute unit description.
Yeah, but it's like having Beast from X-Men.
I mean, he's too massive. He's too gigantic. That's the thing. He'd be braying his head on things all the time.
Throw a motorcycle at the Acheron.
Yeah. It's like he just does like the boarding action himself.
Snaps the mast by hand and uses it as a weapon.
He just jumps on the deck with a Desert Eagle. No one tells Alan Richardson he can't, even though it's anachronistic, because he'll just dog walk them in front of the children and get it all on his GoPro. And finally, Sean Bean, mentioned particularly for a potential role in a story featuring a more somber Aubrey, presumably who dies at some point as well.
That would be such a weird bit of because he's obviously sharp, right?
Yeah.
And Boromir. But sharp. If he says the word Napoleon or Boney,
yeah,
and he's not Richard Sharp, something's wrong.
Something's wrong, and it's like amazing. So going on to actual casting now, people who really did have the job in the film. Russell Crowe currently got a lot of stuff in pre-production. A film called Unabomber. He's got The $1 Billion Spy. He's playing Ramirez in Highlander. So he's taking the Sean Connery role for Highlander, playing Ramirez. So another inexplicably Spanish-named ancient Egyptian immortal with the katana. Awesome. I fucking love Highlander. And that's not the only Highlander link we'll have to this show, this film, by the way. So he's had a career that began in the 70s that I didn't realise he was like kind of getting stuff on film that early. He was in a show called Spy Force, an Australian TV series about Australian intelligence officers during World War II, playing a character called Orphan. So that's like 6 decades he's covered.
You need to find that.
We need to find Spy Force, man. We need to find Spy Force. This actually sounds class. I think he's the first of our guys with a WWE credit. He was in WrestleMania 39. He's credited as playing Gabriel, the Pope's exorcist, Amorth. I've never seen the film and don't know how it's pronounced in WrestleMania. So I only assume he comes in and kayfabe exercises some demons out of fucking...
Yeah.
You cannot think
so
of
that's like recent. That's like a...
Yeah, 2023 was WrestleMania 39. Incredible, right? Well, that's sort of oddball stuff. Our guys doing. He was Henry Jekyll in The Mummy 2017. Do you think we were hard done by the end of the Dark Universe before it really began? Or do you think we're ready for the Dark Universe to make a comeback?
I've been, for the years, listening to a podcast about this very subject. Dylan and Dalton's The Dark Universe pod. I think it's got a new name now.
Oh, my God.
Because they've broadened their net. But they had a whole podcast where they went through like every film in the Dark Universe and also wrote some new ones. And then wrote their own kind of like, basically carried on the universe as if it should be, where they got every single like, so they started by talking about the Mummy, right? And then after that, they like wrote their own version of like The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then they wrote their own version of like Dracula, and they wrote their own version of like Frankenstein and all that kind of stuff. And then they made like a big Avengers Assemble kind of movie with all of them in. It was incredible. It's actually a really good podcast.
Oh man, I'm going to start listening to that. I need to find it. That's actually fucking really cool. Shout out to that podcast.
I'm actually mentioned in one of the episodes because I wrote into it.
Get in, man. Hell yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, I'll put a link to that on this pod, definitely. Awesome. So good. Really good pod.
But of course,
the guy, one of the guys who runs it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to
No,
chat with the guys who run it. So one of the guys who runs it is a guy called Dalton Deshane. He also does music, and he has a band again, which I'll link to. But the other band that he has is as a side project is a band called the B69s, where they do covers of modern pop songs in the style of the B52s, and their cover of WAP is just one of the greatest pieces of music ever made.
I hate how cool this guy is. Did you know? I mean, of course, Russell Crowe was in Romper Stomper, which if you were a teenage edgelord in the 90s, you'd know him from that. I was. He had a 4-episode run in Neighbours. Do you want to hear the tale of Kenny Larkin?
We've lost Roy, but I'll explain to you what Neighbours is in the meantime. So, like, for anyone who's not Australian or British, it's an Australian soap opera that ran like twice a day here. It gets shown at lunchtime and it gets shown in the evening as well, every weekday. And it follows the exploits of a bunch of people who all live on Ramsay Street, which is a cul-de-sac in a suburb outside of Sydney, basically. And yeah, there's like a cafe and a bar, and there's like a local businessman called Paul Robinson who's a bit of a bad guy, and there's like there's an old fella called Harold Bishop who plays the tuba, and his wife Madge and stuff, and there's like a local family doctor called Dr. Carl Kennedy and his wife and his 3 kids. And this show had like tons of people who would then go on to become really, really famous. So like Kylie Minogue was in it at the beginning, Guy Pearce was in it. People who are still famous now, Holly Valance, who was in Taken, was in it. Margot Robbie was in it. Yeah, just big long list of anyone who's famous who's come from Australia. Jesse Spencer, who played Billy Kennedy in it, was a main character in all the Chicago Fire stuff and was in House MD. Yeah, like loads and loads of people who would get various levels of fame. Yeah, but for some reason it was like massive in the UK and Australia and nowhere else.
Hey guys,
the return of the...
Welcome back. I just explained to Sanye what Neighbours was in the interim. Carry on.
Get in. So he plays a guy called Kenny Larkin, who is an ex-con and is a friend of a guy called Henry. So this is copied from a Neighbours kind of open source wiki type thing that I found. So the grammar's a bit fucked and it doesn't all fully make sense, but Henry turned up in 1987 and comes to the local pub, The Waterhole at Lassiter's, where Madge Ramsey and Henry work. Madge's boss, Paul Robinson, accuses her of theft after Henry pays for a round of drink with a $50 bill and Kenny claims to have paid for the second round with another $50 bill. Madge checks the till and finds only one $50 note, Henry's, and Kenny proves he's given her $50 by reciting the last 3 digits on the note. Paul fires Madge, I don't understand why, and Henry accuses him of running a scam. Ditto. Henry becomes determined to prove his and his mother's innocence and tracks down Kenny's sister, BB, that's her name, like ball bearing, who reveals that Kenny pulled cash scams on a regular basis. They tell Paul, who reinstates Madge and Henry. When Kenny begins informing Henry's customers about his criminal past and revenge, the 2 men fight, and Paul Robinson bars Kenny from Lassiter's permanently. Kenny then leaves the area, never to be seen again. He got taken to the fucking train station. More casting, we've got Paul Vision Bettany. You know, IMDb says that, so the IMDb known for section, yeah?
Yeah.
Known for WandaVision, that's all it says about him. He's known for way more than fucking WandaVision.
I mean, you
talked about him last week on the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, even Lee Ingleby, Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking everything up, Holland. God bless him. DCS Neil Adamson in The Hunt for Raoul Boat. Can you imagine like Holland hunting for Raoul Boat? Like him doing it as Holland, just fucking up constantly. And everybody on like the search party's just like, he's had us walking around in circles. He's a Jonah. He did 120...
On the subject of Raoul Moat, were you in the Brockwell at that time when the quizmaster asked the question where the answer of it was the name of the policeman who got shot by him, and then his son was in the pub at the time?
No, but holy shit.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Epic. Spin that day at a time. We're just going to tease that and then move on.
Jesus. Hyper local Cramlington drama mentioned. 125 episodes of Bob the Builder.
We're going to say Line of Duty next because he was in that, wasn't he, Lingleby?
Yeah, he plays Bob the Builder's dad. He had a 25-episode run of Inspector George Gently as DS John Bacchus. Chris Larkin playing Captain Trigger Discipline Howard, Royal Marines. He did 3 episodes of Doctors, the daytime medical soap opera that ran for like 1 million years on British TV. Doctors, as its title card ran over a 10-year period, playing 3 separate characters. So it's not just American syndicated TV shows of like the 1970s, early 90s who do it. This guy played Edward Roxburgh, Father Sebastian Wood, and Richard Waters.
I think Doctors is one of those shows that it was like a bit of the lifeblood of the British film and TV industry, and that it was a proving ground for a lot of crew members and actors to cut their teeth in their trade, and then move on to other things. So it was a bit of a shame when that show got cancelled. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely a jumping off point for a lot of actors. You would need an insane deep dive into it, but I bet there's quite a few actors who've been in films that we've enjoyed who got like early starts, and like you said, a lot of crew as well, a lot of like cinematographers, directors, sound, that kind of thing, who've got early starts in Doctors. He was in Black Sails.
Oh, nice. Good show.
Yeah, he had, I think, a 1-episode spot in Endeavour.
Again, fantastic.
Yeah. And I know he's the first of our guys to have been in an episode of the Highlander TV series.
Have you seen the on-set photos from the new film with Henry Cavill?
Tell me all about it.
It looks good.
It looks good. Oh,
it looks good.
Fuck for that. Mr. Higgins, the surgeon's mate. This guy Thriller maxes to an extent. Eye in the Sky, which is one I know I've thought about doing. And Constant Gardner. He flexed his British actor of a certain era credentials in Notting Hill back in 1999. He was in an episode of Spooks. And he was in an unaired Game of Thrones prequel pilot.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Okay. I can see that.
Set 5,000 years before the events depicted in the series. That's a fucking stretch. So the people of the however many kingdoms it is.
7 Kingdoms. Well, that's old Valeria, isn't it? Before the fall of Valeria. So people are riding dragons and shit, and the city isn't in ruins. That whole area.
So with that, man, it would kind of work, I guess, wouldn't it? Actually, because it's all dragons and shit. Yeah.
Do you remember when Jesus Christ, Game of Thrones? Can't we talk about this? Do you remember when Sejora gets Sejora, played by Ian Glenn, gets the grayscale? Yeah. Because they've gone to that continent where it's all just jungle and horrible now.
Yeah.
And it's been taken away by plague. It's that part of the world which was like a thriving civilization. It's the old Valeria.
So, I guess Game of Thrones is a bit more kind of post-apocalyptic than I kind of gave it credit for, right? I mean,
in the way that like Adventure Time is, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking amazing, man. Blakeney, Max Purkis. This guy is now big time involved in worldwide sales for movies. He's big time industry. He's got loads of sales work. He's got a fair bit of associate producer work. IMDb still says he lives at home with his parents, and he's like in his late 20s now. So fuck yeah, be a stay-at-home son. I love it.
He was born in 1989. He's in his 30s.
Yeah,
he's not living with his parents. He's late 30s. So IMDb says he still lives with his parents. So if so, hats off to our stay-at-home sons out there. They're doing the God's work by mooching and loafing. Part of the production of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
And the father and the wife.
He was in the TV show Rome. He played Gaius Octavian for 13 episodes. Then he did a film called The Quiet Ones, then a film called Racing Hearts, and then he just dipped out of being in films completely nearly 10 years ago. We've talked about The Killick already, David Threlfall, his work as Frank Gallagher, obviously fucking iconic British TV. I haven't watched the American version of Shameless. Kind of don't want to. Don't want to chance it.
I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard it's really good with
that's good.
Bill Macy and what's his name, Jeremy Allen White and that.
That's excellent, actually. Thanks, man, because I was worried. I'm checking in on it now, but also he thriller maxed in Patriot Games, Inspector Highland in Patriot Games.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yes, I do remember that. Oh, he gets. I think but we'll cover it in due course, I'm sure. But I don't think it ends well for him.
He did 6 episodes in season 4 of Ripper Street, and
you love Ripper Street.
I fucking love Ripper Street, dude. I met the guy who played Inspector Aberline at a convention a few years ago, and he's just the fucking nicest, coolest guy. But swear to God, man, I think Ripper Street was a point when Graham Linehan started getting weird online. because I remember he was really mad about it. He was like, "Oh, this is a terrible show that promotes violence to women." No, it fucking doesn't, dude. It says violence against anyone in general is fucking really bad. I think like he thought it was going to be a show that like fucking glorified Jack the Ripper, and it doesn't. It's about it's about a fucking police station in the area of Whitechapel, and there's a scene when Inspector Aberline uses the phrase "got his cock out in a park" to like the main character. And Graham Linehan went on Google Books and did a Google Books search like the 19th century for "got his cock out" and couldn't find any mentions of it and thought that was a total gotcha and a mic drop. And nobody seemed to kind of kiss his ass for it at all online. And I think that was the point when he started getting weird about things.
I think I had an argument with Graham Linehan online once.
Amazing.
A short one on twitter.com in like 2009
Amazing.
or 10, I want to say. And it was about, it must have been 2010, and it was about Red Dead Redemption. Basically, all I was talking about how it was a revisionist Western, and it's based around like movies like The Wild Bunch. Yeah. It was a very close thing to the story to it and all this kind of stuff. And I can't remember the exact nature of the argument, but I do remember him basically being very dismissive and a bit of a cock, and then me basically arguing back a little bit, and then just him spurging out.
Yes.
And then me just being quite sad that I'd got into an argument with the guy who created Father Ted, and just kind of just leaving it, and then just watching him continue to spurg out. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And then ever since then, really, I've just noticed him just spurging out
yeah.
all the time. That's basically his professional outspurger now, isn't he?
He is a professional outspurger. I remember when he was like pulling his whole like fucking, "Oh, hey fellow gamers" kind of thing, and he was saying, "Oh, I've just completed Dishonourable," and it's all like, "Do you mean Dishonored?" It sucks. David Threlfall was also in Scum, and he was in Alien Autopsy as well. Fucking yes. The comedy.
The fucking Ant and Death film.
Comedy. Pack it in, Santilli!
God. No.
That, you know what? I'm going to say it in my full chest. I love that film. I don't care what anyone says. I'll fight in the streets for Alien Autopsy, man. I'll fight in the goddamn streets. And of course,
1 second, I don't remember. But I'll tell you what I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have logged it on Letterboxd. Let's do that now.
Yeah. And of course, saving the Hobbitist for last, Billy Boyd.
Yeah.
As Pippin. Come on, man. I mean,
full of a chook.
He is just a fucking iconic Hobbit, man. Honestly, you can't separate him from the role. Obviously, he did all the films. He's done an insane amount of voice work for them. He probably doesn't even have to work that much, but he still does. He was recently in the TV show Doom Patrol. He sang the end credits music as a guest in an episode of The Simpsons, which I think's mental.
That is mental.
Do you think he did like the actual song from Lord of the Rings or not?
Could you imagine that? Yeah.
Home
is behind the world. Yeah. I like that in this movie they give him like a big scar on his eye to make him less pretty.
Yeah, it's like, son, we've got to fuck you up. We've got to make you look slightly chopped for this. I'm really sorry. Yeah. We've got to make you look a bit chopped. You were no longer Pippin. You're Pippin's choppelganger.
Yeah, they should have got what's his name, Dominic. No, they should have got Dominic Monaghan.
Dominic Monaghan.
Dominic Monaghan played Merry. They should have got him in this. And he should have been cutting around somewhere in the background as well.
Absolutely. So Billy
They should have put him on the Acheron.
They should have.
When they were all like tinning up and dancing around on the deck, they should have had them two like linking arms and skip around the place barefoot for no reason.
I was gonna say fucking aggressively shoeless.
Yeah.
Or just smoking in the corner with a pipe.
Yeah, a gigantic long pipe, like theatrically fucking long in Hobbitus. His first role, he did 3 episodes of Taggart in 1996, because of course he did, geographically, I guess. Yeah. Man, honestly. And he was in an episode of Still Game as well, playing like Bearded Man or something like that, immediately after this film, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
You guys probably have loads and loads and loads of trivia about this film, so should we dig into some of your favourite bits of trivia?
Well, let's do it, yeah. All right, okay, cool. Okay. So, I mean, there's obviously all the IMDb trivia about how the movie was made here, which is fine. Yeah. I've not got too much, like, Navy trivia to talk about that I haven't already mentioned, apart from the one thing I spotted, which on further reflection, watching it several times back, I'm not 100% sure I'm right about. Just that there's a sequence. I forgot exactly when. I think it's as they let fly. There's a call out on the bosun's call, and the way the bosun's call. Have you got your bosun's call there, Sanya?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hold it up to the camera so that people can see it who are watching it? Just right. Yeah. Cool. So as you can see, right, it's a whistle with a long narrow bit which you blew into, and at the end of it, it has a rounded bulbous piece, and above that there is a hole, and that hole. Basically, what you can do with it is you can block it with your thumb, or actually it's not your thumb, it's it's the part of your finger here, to block the hole. And what it can do is it can produce two notes, so you can have a low note and a high note. You got to blow into it quite hard. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's a horrible noise. Don't do it. Do not do it, and it'll sound bad. But the way it works is when the grip is slackened, it's the low note, and when you grip onto it, it's the high note. And
keep
in
talking
the film,
about a
you
fucking
see
delivery. Dressed like this, sorry.
Why would you? That's obviously staying in. Brilliant. Didn't think that one through, did we, boys? That's fantastic. So yeah, you see the buffer, or presumably the bosun, use the bosun's call at one point, and he grips it, but the note, but then he lets go of it, and the note gets high as he lets go, and it's the other way around. That's the only thing I noticed as a potential goof. But that's it really. Other than that, I think it's which is small fry, and also it's not 100% clear on the footage that's what's happening. This film is like phenomenal. There's so much stuff in it that we still do now that is in that film. Kind of blows your mind a little bit. The naming conventions for the watches are exactly the same. In the Navy, the watches are divided into 4-hour periods. So you have like the forenoon watch starting at 0800 to 1200. The afternoon, you have which is 1200 to 1600. Then you have like the dogs, which is 1600 to 2000, and it's called the dogs because it's split into two: a first dog and a last dog, which is like a 2-hour watch. So you have different watch bills. You can cross over at that point and swap around. And then you have the first, which is 2000 to midnight, the middle, which is midnight to 4 in the morning, and then the morning watches is 0400 to 0800, and it's the morning watch that the film starts on. And so you get that kind of stuff. All that business about logbooks. What else is it? There's loads in this film. All the navigation stuff, the sextants, obviously all the sail terminology is all there. What else is still in action today? I mean, the gunnery stuff is like surprising. Oh, you hear them call to clear away on the cannons. We still use that term, close up, clear away. Just loads of little stuff like that is still going. Yeah, so that's it for me on trivia. Just that there's loads of it.
Where to start even?
Yes.
There's so much going on with these. What's struck me now rewatching this after I've joined the Navy myself is that really so much really hasn't changed, whether it's customs or just actual time periods. We've brought this up earlier, and it's going to come up when we get to the quotes sections, but there's that gunnery drills bit and the amount of times and the captain keeping time whenever something is done, whether it's the quick draw or going to action stations. And it's a little bit that even the time frames haven't really changed in today's Navy, even though the equipment and the ships are vastly different. So that's a bit funny to me, how a modern frigate with almost 200 people on it will still take roughly the same time to get to action stations as a man of war from the age of sail.
Fleet standard time
even though
to achieve.
you don't need to run around in the rigging and shore up sails and whatnot. So that gets to me.
I think there's so much tradition in the Royal Navy that we maintain that is on display in this film, that it's still there. So like the quotes of the day. So there's a toast there's a toast in the wardroom sequences, and he toasts wives and sweethearts. May they never meet. And that is a classic naval toast that's been going for hundreds of years. It was changed by the second Sea Lord in 2023 because of woke to to our family. There's a
may they never meet. Because there's too much drama.
Because you're on yet another record-breaking length patrol. Yeah. Fucking ridiculous. Yeah, because there's a naval tradition of toasts for different days of the week, depending on what day your mess dinner is taking place on. So that's one of them. So Sunday is to Absent Friends, and then the alternative is Absent Friends and Those at Sea. On Monday, it's Our Ships at Sea, and then the alternative is Our Native Land, King and Country. Tuesday was Our Sailors, and before 2013, it was Our Men, so this isn't the first time this has happened. And then alternatively, it's Our Mother's Health and Wealth. Wednesday, it's just Ourselves, usually with the informal reply of nobody else will concern themselves with our well-being.
There you go.
As you say. And then it's Ourselves, Our Swords, Old Ships is the alternative. Thursday, A Bloody War on a Sickly Season, as I said, and then just The King is the alternative. Friday, A Willing Foe in Sea Room. I like that one.
Yeah.
And then Fox Hunting and Old Port, Ships at Sea. And then finally, Our Families, which... before 2013, it says 2013 here. It was more recent than that. To Our Wives and Sweethearts with May They Never Meet, which is obviously the one that appears in the film. So that's fantastic. As we said, like the makeup of like the ship's company hasn't changed a great deal. Some of the jobs have changed. So like you don't have a master carpenter and a carpenter's mate anymore, but you do have the M3 section head. Who's responsible for home maintenance, same job, basically. You know, you might not have a qualified butcher on board, but you still have the galley, and the scab lifter. You know, you still got you've got a ship's doctor who now is normally a general practitioner, a surgeon lieutenant, still called surgeon. And on smaller ships, you might have the coxswain who gets the scab lifter kind of moniker. And you've got MAs on big ships as well, also called that. You've got the whole breakdown between, you've got the officers and the midshipmen. Midshipmen are no longer really found at sea too often as wharf officers, and they don't have to have their own separate gun room, but they still have that at Dartmouth, the midshipmen's gun room and the wardroom for the actual officers who work there. So there's all that kind of stuff that hasn't changed. It's pretty amazing.
So on the set, they actually had different wardrooms for the film crew and for the actors, depending on what role they were playing. So they had an officer's wardroom, and they had an enlisted crew wardroom, and they weren't really allowed to mingle. They had to wear different colored shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
And they actually did sailing training and took out the ship in their different colored t-shirts. So they sort of got a real crew dynamic into the actors.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. And I think that shows on screen as well. I think it paid off.
Yeah.
Just like the scene when they're all like sarcastically showing their obeisance to Holland and that, and they're all like kind of tugging the forelock and stuff, and it's legitimately sinister and intimidating, and that makes sense when you see them being segregated like that. That's really cool. I like that.
They even did sort of the sort of thing you would do in basic training on the first night, so people don't do stupid shit. They got everyone together and gave the people name tapes, and they had to sew them on their t-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, so they don't run off and get drunk on the first day on set.
That's amazing.
That's legit.
I think they did that for Tom Sizemore in every film. I think they just did that for Tom Sizemore on arbitrary mornings, even when he wasn't working. Someone would come round and say, "Tom, there's a shirt with your name on it. There's an emergency telephone number on the back. Don't do anything. Fucking stupid."
Tom Sizemore just catching strays. I love that.
With his Wizardator.
Should we go through the extremely long list of quotes?
Let's hit the quotes. Yeah.
Maybe pick our favourites.
Let us hit the quotes because they're so fucking good, man. I'm just pulling up my notes on the quotes. My notes on the quotes. Jesus Christ, that was an unintentional rhyme.
Well, while you're doing that, do you see those two weevils, Doctor? I do.
Perfect.
Which would you choose? Neither. There's not a scrap of difference between them. They are both the same species of cuculio. But if you had to choose, if you were forced to make a choice, if there was no other response, well, if you're going to push me, I would choose the right-hand weevil, a significant advantage both length and breadth. Ah, I have you. You're completely dished. Do you not know that in the service one must always choose the lesser of two weevils?
He knew it. Pick a pocket.
Yeah, got it. Got him, boys.
Got
Easy
him.
claps.
Bow.
Incredible.
So good.
Do you want to see a guillotine in Piccadilly?
No!
Want to call that raggedy arse Napoleon your king?
No!
You want your children to sing La Marseillaise? Oh, exactly.
Go again, lads.
Yeah, fucking. Yeah.
Again, lads, larboard battery. Oh, that is another great trivia, by the way. They actually still calling it starboard and larboard at the time because they only changed that after the War of 1812.
Right. Why?
Because they realised that larboard sounds too much like starboard.
Yeah, that's
really why I changed it. That's where port came from. So another one of the bits that I like is a quote, but it ties into the trivia piece, which is there's a bit here where Dr. Maturin's like, Jack, have you forgotten your promise? And he goes, subject to the requirements of the service. I cannot in all conscious delay for the sake of an iguana or a giant peccary. Fascinating, no doubt, but of no immediate application. But that phrase, subject to the requirements of the service, is still in use today. Like seriously, like no jokes. Like you are constantly reminded that any leave you may take or any thing that has been told to you is subject to the requirements of the service, and that still appears in official writing.
That's amazing.
I have known you to obsess over a beetle for 10 hours.
There's
you forget yourself, Doctor.
I can afford to leave one anarchist on this ship.
Mm-hmm. You come to the wrong shop, anarchy, brother.
Does he say it?
Oh yes, that is so
Does
great.
he say I can only afford one anarchist on the ship? Because I watched the disc.
One rebel.
One rebel. I was going to say because
I've mixed the two up. Yeah.
Punished as a boy. No, because I just obviously watched it on Disney Plus and they said rebel, and I wonder if maybe they'd like kind of bowdlerized it and cleaned it up for Disney.
Star Wars it.
Yeah. They fly out. They fly out. The Acheron's launching TIE fighters. Oh, fucking hell, man. Which one did I really like? Just a really great bit of banter here from Nehemiah Slade, able seaman. Never met a dead man that bought me a drink. And a clap back from Joe Place, able seaman. And I never met a live one that you bought one for neither. Nice, I like that.
I love that.
I fucking like that. And of course, like you said, is them his brains, Doctor? No, that's just dry blood. Those are his brains. The IMD then follows it with brackets, the crew oohs and ahs.
It's Mr. Allen, like the sailing master, is probably one of my favourite characters. And he has like, in all my years, I've never seen anything like it. It has to be more than 100 sea miles, and he brings up on his tail. That's seamanship, Mr. Puddings. My God, that's seamanship. Fucking love that. So good.
It's a bit of witch from Blakeney. Tie your neck bands on your right upper arm to tell friend from foe. Blakeney pointing Davies this arm, starboard arm. Quad Davies, able seaman, that's who's credited as. Is that the one you got or the one you don't got? Blakeney, all right, that's enough cheek, Davies. I also like they're doing like IFF, aren't they? It's like, you know, that's like being and in 2026 when every army in the world's wearing fucking multicam, they're doing it again because time is a flat fucking circle.
The moribund masses of tricorn hats, it is important.
That's a great moribund multicam masses callback, my damn son. Where do you find this callback? 100% real recursive podcasting.
After me is also great.
Oh my God. And of course, like you said, the hello, we caught a fish quote was just great. So much of the dialogue's just really natural and I really enjoy it. It's great. And of course,
hurrah for for Lucky Jack, for England, for home, and for the prize!
This ship is England.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time he's done this to me. There will not be a third. Subtle foreshadowing.
Subtle fucking foreshadowing indeed. Run like smoke in Oakham. Amazing. Because I might not have AR-15s, but I did do some weapons identification, a bit of research and stuff. And I like how the film handles guns. Okay. So had a quick look on like the IMFDB and did a bit of like kind of research on all that pages to double check it was right. So I like how pretty much all the Royal Navy sailors and officers have .56 caliber sea service pistols made by the gunsmith Tower. I think that's really cool that like they've actually got like standardized historically accurate ones, because let's face it, what they could have done was they could have had like most of the extras and like the low rated like bottom of the cast list kind of sailors just with some fucking brass wall hangers you got from a carburetor, or just like the most like generic kind of flintlock pistol you could get. Get some muskets right insofar as it's Brown Bessers, you know, .75, bigger bullets, son. And the French have accurately sourced weapons too. They have the pistol model 1777. I haven't looked up the caliber of that because it's written in French, and French is a waste of time. And of course, we're seeing knock gun being used, and I love knock guns so much. Anybody who grew up watching Sharp and doesn't fall in love with the volley gun from Mr. Knock of London is a lunatic, and I don't want them on my ship.
Punished by
I
Sergeant Harper. God save Ireland.
I especially love that it's fired from the hip by a sailor who has a side job at the baste department, probably schwacking a bunch of Frenchies. And I don't know how historically accurate it is for it to be fired from the hip, but I do know that firing it from the shoulder was responsible for sometimes breaking bones. So probably likely that it may have been fired from the hip, you know? Which is pretty fucking cool. I mean, you know, it's hardly like a precision weapon. So yeah, really brief one into the guns and shit, but I've got another category.
I have more gun
Yes, because you're going on the cannons and stuff, right? Gun facts.
For information about live firings taking place in the Scottish exercise areas, please drop to channel 07. Okay, gun facts.
Cool. Sanya,
Right,
one launch into
guns.
cannon facts.
Yes, so one thing I've actually noticed, which I noticed recently only, and not the first few times, the stern chase guns are actually brass cannons, which are the only ones on the ship, which does add up though, because brass guns tend to hold up better to prolonged use than cast iron guns, which were cheaper to procure. So they were used for the main batteries, but for the chase guns, where you need something more precise, it makes sense to use them, and it's an amazing little detail that they've actually got brass cannons on the quarterdeck. Also, fun fact, the term long nines for cannons or guns does not refer to the caliber, but to the length of the barrel and foot.
Cool, man. Get in.
So that would actually be your average 12-pound cannon, which was just the most precise because it had the longest barrel in relation to...
Man, I love big guns.
Big gun, son.
Also, on the boarding scene at the end of the film, what Blakeney is firing at the Acheron is a carronade, which is a short type of naval gun with a very heavy caliber, and judging by the hole it's made, this should be right up your alley, Rory. It's more the naval main armament caliber of a sort of shotgun.
Yeah.
It's probably loaded with 68 pounds of grape shot.
Oh, man, that's fucking beautiful.
So you're just really shooting 35 kilograms of iron shrapnel into the French at a distance of 5 meters.
Per my
barely.
last email.
Yes, per my last loader.
Nice.
And it's already amazing to me that you actually have the amount of detail where you see all the required instruments for loading and unloading a naval gun on display and actually in use.
Yeah, that was cool.
And the little detail of Higgins putting his hand in the firing mechanism is amazing to me, because you barely ever see accurate firing mechanisms on guns.
Yeah.
Flintlocks have been on naval guns for quite a while at that point, but whenever you see a film, it's just
Burning
always
torch.
someone like
Match.
burning torch to it,
Yeah.
which is nonsense and makes actual aiming, which is what they were going for, despite its difficulties, quite impossible.
Jesus, man, that's really good calls. Really
Which
good
is
calls.
actually one of the this is what makes the gunnery drill scene so real and so important, is that one of the things that made the Royal Navy vastly superior in comparison to the French Navy was the importance they put on naval gunnery drills. At Trafalgar, they actually fired roughly 3 broadsides to every 1 French broadside. So you can imagine the absolute punishment a French ship of the line would have taken meeting HMS Victory face to face, taken into account the absolute horrid training on Spanish vessels, where their flagship actually had part of the muzzle covers still on after the battle.
Incredible scenes.
Which just goes to tell you how unprepared these crews were in part. Also, interesting side tangent, this whole, apart from a difference in firing doctrine between the Royal Navy and the French Navy, which was the Royal Navy would just fire into the hull to cripple as many crew members as possible, while the French were generally trying to dismast ships to take them as a prize. This got way worse because during the French Revolution, the Naval Artillery School was just torn down and everyone executed because they were giving off aristocrat vibes, and we didn't like that.
Monsieur,
so they
you have
just
failed the vibe
executed
check.
and fired everyone who could have taught them about naval gunnery. So for the first 10 years after that, they were pretty much starting at being very shit at naval gunnery.
Wow! Imagine that. Imagine a military force getting actively worse under a particular leader's premiership because they didn't agree with their policies, so they thought they would just get rid of all these incredibly experienced people arbitrarily. Wow, make you think, doesn't it?
Think.
Yeah, I wonder where I've seen that happen.
Intriguing. I'm gonna. Anybody here heard of a website called Kids in Mind?
No.
Kids in Mind is a film website designed to allow people to kind of know what their kids will be getting into if they watch a film with them. And to be honest, I don't disagree with it. I'd rather kind of parents had more of a kind of, you can't watch this thing than like the government, you know? So, Kids in Mind is nuts, because what it does basically is, it has like sex, gore, and all that kind of ratings, which is already pretty fucking cool in my opinion, and it itemizes all of the violence. So, for Master and Commander, right, I have got some examples here. A ship is pummeled by cannon fire. Men are thrown back by the blasts. We see bloody wounds. Some men are treated by a doctor, brackets, the floor is slick with blood, brackets. Masts and sails collapse. Men dangle from ropes, and a boy has shards of wood sticking out of his arm. We hear that 9 men die and 27 wounded in this encounter. Men suffer from wind and sweltering heat as they lay adrift at sea. A man dissects a fish, we see slime and organs. 2 men stand at the top of a high mast and men dangle from one side of a ship to help balance her. 2 men argue bitterly. A man has a scar on his ear. 2 weevils crawl off and around a piece of bread. That's not a fucking joke. That's not a joke. Amazing. It's like those 2 kids from, like, I think it's like the last season or the second last season of League of Gentlemen who go to the video shop, like, how many killings? How many killings? Will the 7? Oh, sounds rubbish. No, but he kills them in different ways, like sexy and grumpy and dopey.
A whole bit about the movie 7. Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, and this website also has, like, obviously there's a bit of like the sex stuff in it. So it's like, a man looks at a woman admiringly, and other men on a ship call out to women. This is rated 3 for sex and nudity. And other men on a ship call out to women who are apparently interested in keeping them company.
3? There's only one woman in it. She's only there for 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's rated 3 for sex and nudity because...
That's so 20 seconds of
That's going to be 3 out of 100.
We see a man in his shirt. With no pants and his bare legs are exposed. Many men, brackets, sailors, are seen bare-chested in many scenes. Indigenous men from islands wear loincloth-type clothing with bare chests, and the women wear dresses that are off the shoulder. Won't somebody think of the children? That's rated
off the shoulder.
3 out of 10.
What is this?
It's crazy, right? It's mental. But the best thing is, it also has, like, the message of the film.
Oh, yeah. I would like to hear the message of the film.
If you are strong and lead, respect and luck will follow.
That's a good motto, though.
I actually can't disagree with that. I cannot disagree with that.
If you are strong and lead, luck and success will follow.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
That should be like in a Chinese cookie.
Yeah, fortune cookie. Amazing. So fucking good. Would you like us to spin the wheel of directors just once? Just once.
Yeah, I get that. Spinning. I can't really see it. Setting on yellow, it looks like. And it's going to be John McTiernan, The Hunt for Red October, and Die Hard.
And Die Hard and loads of other stuff. Would he do a good job with this? I think probably, but it would be quite different.
I think he's a good job.
I think he would have made it a more popularly consumable movie.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as to say he would have made it wholly inaccurate.
Yeah.
But he would have probably cared more about certain dramatic aspects rather than about historical accuracy.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have spent as long in the Galapagos. I don't think we would have got as much development on Maturin's character. We would have focused more firmly on the ship combat.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't have got as much excellent cello violin stuff.
There'll be no rocking out.
We would have gotten more witty backtalk, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly wouldn't have gotten several miles of rope being made.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maturin would have fucking died, and he would have been like, I wish I could have seen the Galapagos.
I was going to have seen the flood.
Tell you what, though, in order to get McTiernan attached, they would have had to have had way more of a Hollywood kind of cast. wouldn't they? They wouldn't have had like guys who'd been in like Doctors and were going to end up doing a few episodes of Spooks, and people who were alumni of Highlander and stuff. They would have gone hardcore on the Hollywood. Like fucking Toby Maguire would have been attached. He'd have been one of the midshipmen. He'd have been Holland. Because at that point in his life, old enough to be like the kind of fail son, you know.
Yeah, it's not long after the Wonder Boys, isn't it? Yeah. And you would have had like Elijah Wood as one of the midshipmen.
Oh, definitely.
That's that's something, didn't they? I think they actually just picked age-appropriate actors for the ages of the people they were portraying.
Yeah.
Because that's something you see, especially when it comes to young characters. You see so many early late 20s actors portraying teenagers.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like Sydney Sweeney, a 30-year-old, 16-year-old, you know?
Yeah, you would have had like Killick would have been like Jason Lee or somebody.
Oh my God,
we could have put Zendaya in the boat to be looked at.
No, man, Killick would be Ethan Suplee.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking Ethan Suplee. Holy shit,
Pre-hench
dude.
Ethan Suplee.
Yeah, definitely pre-hench Ethan Suplee. I think I wouldn't have had the same power to it, especially because it would have had to have been like a stacked cast for them to have attached to big Hollywood.
And that's where the budget goes.
Yeah. You would have.
And they don't shoot it at sea.
Oh no, they wouldn't do that. Well, I mean, you've got. I mean, one of the insurance of getting like a load of like Hollywood actors on literal ship at sea. And that might be one of the reasons why they chose like loads like British like weekend TV kind of people. Oh, I've done 2 episodes of the bill. You won't be that expensive when sure more than I don't know Jason Statham or whatever, or like Bruce Willis or something like that. Who would play Lucky Jack? Who we're going to cast in McTiernan's version? Bearing in mind 2003, the film was. Who was at the Apex then?
Oh. Who was at the Apex in 2003? Who would have been good for the role?
Was Brad Pitt age appropriate?
Because he was doing Troy around this time, wasn't he?
Oh my God, imagine Tom Cruise.
Jesus fucking Christ, oh my God. There'd be so much running.
There's nowhere to run on the ship.
The ship's only 40 meters. Where are you running?
It's like...
Yeah.
I just wanted to stretch my legs, he says as he runs past him on the Galapagos.
I just wanted to stretch my legs.
Doing laps.
That bird, flightless, isn't it? It ain't going nowhere.
So yes, I'd know some maybe that Brad Pitt as Lucky Jack, age appropriate.
Oh, I don't want to watch that movie.
No, me neither. And like it would have to be like, it would have to be USS Surprise. They'd have to find a way. And they're fighting the goddamn British. They push it back to like 1776, and they're fighting the British, and the Galapagos stuff is just like they kind of discover the Galapagos Islands by accident, and they're like the first people to discover them, like they're not even like known about. And they're like, USA, baby, and then like they steal them and immediately drill for oil. So the whole like whale oil thing is just like no longer relevant because they got black gold, baby, Texas tea. Cursed.
Yeah, okay. That was a good spin of the jerks as well, I think.
That was Notes from the Peanut Gallery. Letterboxd Notes from the Peanut Gallery. We do this every episode now. This is when the good people who use the website letterboxd.com provide us with funny content. 5 stars from Comrade Yui. I need everything. Full sail. Full sail. All caps. In bold and italics. So then how we even do that on Letterboxd? Move those cannons to the stern. Come on, you get to it. She's got a broadside bearing down on us full bore. All hands on deck. Clear the rigging. Hold fast at my word. Fly the colours. With about 7 O's. Jesus. 4.5 stars. That's where Pippin went after the ring was destroyed. 5 stars from someone called Margaret. I love men! ! I love men, and I love, all capitals, boats. Well, Margaret, I've got a career for you in His Majesty's Royal Navy. 5 stars. What a miracle that we got a giant old-timey naval war movie that stops for a couple min so we can watch Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany have a violin and cello duet. Agreed. 5 stars from Benjamin. Not me, Googling old ship hat looks.
Perry.
I love movies where people are good at their jobs. Me too. And this movie has an entire 17th century, no It's 18th century, but I'll let them off. Royal British Navy ship, full of them, 2 exclamation marks. Brackets, and they even sing hearty tunes of the high seas, 3 exclamation marks, close bracket. 4 stars, my brother's been trying to get me to watch this for 18 years. All caps, he should have tried harder. A lot of all caps in these reviews. 5 stars, she's in her prime. April 1805, 5 stars this one. Napoleon is master of Europe. Only toxic masculinity stands before him. The discourse is now a battlefield. HMS Surprise, 28 guns, 197 bros. These are some high-ass rated reviews as well. 4 stars from Catherine Kruger. Unfortunately, I must admit that dudes rock.
Nice.
Dudes do indeed rock. Someone called Stuart Wellington just gives a heart rather than a star rating, as you can do. I missed a chance for sex because I was too busy rewatching this.
March my own heart.
I'm just manifesting the shaking hands emoji in my main palace right now.
It's better than the time I did that for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Carry on.
Is that film with an hour remit? Probably not.
No, not really. You can still watch it, mate.
Yeah, I'm still watching. Stop, just stop podcast about it. Fuck, okay. An obvious choice for the dude's rock movie Mount Rushmore? Absolutely. I just want to get Mount Rushmore movies about dudes that rock. And it's a rock as well, so really Mount Rushmore needs repurposed. Just like replace it with still images of movies about dudes who fucking rock. 4 stars. I now truly count as a dad because that banged and I'm mad that the intended franchise never took sail. Sorry. Ocean warfare, where everyone is soaked, stressed, injured and weirdly well-mannered about it. Captain Jack would approve. I don't know if I mean Captain Jack Sparrow or Jack Aubrey at this point, but I'm too afraid to ask.
Captain Jack in my house.
Yeah. Someone called Priscilla Page asks the hard question, best movie ever made? There. I love when men love men! Exclamation mark. With their bodies and souls! Exclamation mark. Hearts and minds! Exclamation mark. Huzzah! Exclamation mark. Says someone says someone called Emma, giving it a 4.5 star rating. 4.5 stars from Jeremy Kaplowitz. I would do anything right now. I'd be hanging out with 100 of my best bros on an old shitty boat, drilling holes in our brains and writing about lizards.
Shitty? She's in her prime.
She's in her fucking prime, exactly, man. Punished as a boy for this guy. Jesus. Bettany Oscar snub, says someone. Yeah. 5 stars. A movie about a bunch of very nice boys out on the high seas. Inarguable. Dude's doc. Says someone giving it a 5 star.
Well, clearly they don't. They refit at sea.
They do refit at seas. 5 stars from Callum Marsh. Me, brackets no beers. I will never be a master and commander. Me, brackets phobias with the boys. Avast ye lads, beat the quarters, set the sails to southward, strike the top gallant. You want to see a guillotine in Piccadilly? For England, for home and for the prize. And we're going to end it with... Let's find something nice and unhinged to finish it with, and then we'll ask fucking questions about the CIA in Colombo, I guess. Fuck the Marvel Cinematic Universe, give us the Master and Commander universe for 4 stars. Exactly. I want it. Is this film pro or anti-CIA? Bear in mind that
didn't exist for several hundred years.
But the Americans are arming Britain's enemies.
I mean, it's
still going to be a
but this is from the perspective of the Royal Navy, isn't it? So
yeah.
even if America is doing that, they're barely mentioned. But I guess she's arming the French. So I would say nah.
It's still neutral. It's neutral. The film doesn't acknowledge the existence of an agency of the American state that won't exist for 200 years. Would this film be better with doing the Harrison Ford question? President Jack Ryan, President James Marshall. You notice how I'm started calling Jack Ryan President Jack Ryan. Sorry, Dr. Jack Ryan, President James Marshall. Fucking hell. Dr. Fugitive guy whose name just... Dr. Richard Kimball.
Richard Kimball.
Richard Kimball could replace Maturin.
Wow, yeah. And he's got experience with prosthetic limbs.
He does indeed. He'd be very useful on the ship, but also he wouldn't make all the discoveries of animals because I don't think he cares that much.
Yeah, so do you think without him, the thought process to use the ship as a phasmid wouldn't have come about?
I think you're absolutely right. It would not have come about.
Mm.
And because that, he gets everybody on the ship dead, so fuck that. Maybe President James Marshall would be more like okay with the Brits and wouldn't arm the French in the first place. I base that on literally nothing at all. Who was the US president at the time this film was set? This one I would hate.
Thomas Jefferson was the president in 1805.
Motherfucker.
Damn you, Jefferson.
And Columbo. Would Peter Falk fit into this movie? And if so, where we're going to put him? He's obviously not wearing like the dirty coat that he brought from home for Columbo. He's obviously dressed in like, you know,
period appropriate
attire. And he's got like a little fuck-ass ponytail as well, maybe, depending on what his role is in the film. Go.
I could see him as a whaler.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice.
Yeah, he's the master of the albatross, isn't he?
Yes, get in. That's fucking class. Yeah. I love it. And he can just pop out his glass eye and just look more kind of tough. He just pops that glass eye out and looks even more fucking tough.
Yeah. So do you want to see my impression of Nelson?
Amazing. I'm so...
Nelson...
Speaking of impression of Nelson, I think it's funny that they put his dress uniform back on Jack when the action at the end starts. Which is a very Nelson thing to do.
Very Nelson thing to do.
Just go, I must find my biggest and shiniest hat with a diamond on it and my most gold-laced uniform. Because I'm going to be in close quarters with a frog.
Nothing bad can come from this.
Wonderful stuff.
Sharpshooters do not exist.
I need to point out from the one nerd listening, I know that Nelson didn't lose his eye. Just say that.
We'll be turning a blind eye to that one.
There you go. Nice, gifts. Okay, chaps, that's us towards the end of another fantastic episode of Clear and Present Twos. Only all our films that we picked were this good. But up ahead, our next sort of mainline episode is going to be our Jack Reacher versus Reacher. Jack Reacher around. Reacher on Reacher action.
You're reaching for it.
Where I guess we kind of just talk about the two movies and the TV series in a vaguely disorganized rabble. Because I think in the first 2 minutes we're going to say Tom Cruise is really short and Alan Richardson's really big, and I think that's going to be the main thrust of it gone.
and then we'll probably talk about the video of Alan Richardson shinning his neighbour just for like half an hour and just doing critique of it and stuff.
I just apologise for that stupidity being British. What an embarrassment. Yeah. All right, cool. Otherwise, unless there's anybody got any final loose rounds around the room before we end this meeting.
Oceans are still battlefields, and this film is always going to be fucking timeless, man.
Yeah, totally agreed. Absolutely awesome film. If there's nothing else, in which case, we've been
Clear and Press Gang
Dudes.